Chapter 10:14. Amazing. This scene was also seen by Corinne. He was experienced and knowledgeable, so he naturally knew what material was used to make this altar. It was a relatively famous metal in the universe, mica steel. The outer shell of an ordinary super battleship was made of mica steel. Even if it was hit by a Star Destroyer cannon, it would not be able to destroy the defense of mica steel in a short time. One could well imagine how powerful mica steel was. It was many times harder than diamond. But now, it was actually eaten by this golden slime as if it was chocolate, as if it was eating a snack. It's too strong. Corinne knew that even if the golden slime had infinite potential, but when it was born, it was not much different from an ordinary slime. It had a little ability, but it was also limited. Therefore, their devouring ability at birth was not very strong. They could only devour some ordinary steel, rocks, and so on as food to supplement their energy. It was impossible to devour a special metal like mica steel. Even if they forcefully swallowed it, they would only suffer from malnutrition and would not be able to digest and absorb it. But looking at the appearance of this golden slime, it did not have any intention of forcefully swallowing it. It was extremely relaxed. One could well imagine how powerful its devouring power was. The initial devouring power was already so frightening. If it were to grow up completely, at that time, it would be even worse. Could it be that it has mutated? Corinne recalled the abnormality that occurred when Xiaoping signed the soul contract array just now. A large amount of golden energy was absorbed by this golden slime, making it reach a saturated state. So all kinds of changes occurred. But thinking of this, he was a little frightened. Ordinary golden slime was already abnormal enough, and now it was going to continue to mutate. How heaven-defying would it become? Suddenly, he looked at Xiaoping with an extremely strange expression. This kid is obviously just a native of a remote place. Why does he always do this kind of thing that can shock even a sage's servant like me? This is too inconceivable. Could it be that this kid's background is greater than mine, a sage's servant? Smack, smack. A few minutes later, the several-meter-tall altar made entirely of mica steel was completely devoured by the golden slime, leaving not a single drop behind. But its size still did not change. It was almost the same as before, as if its stomach contained a different dimensional space, which was very inconceivable. Slime. Xiao Jin was lying on the ground, rubbing his stomach with his little hand. He looked like he was stuffed. He actually fell asleep in this place, and there were even bubbles coming out of his body. Asleep? Xiaoping was speechless as he looked at this little foodie. What a carefree little guy. After all, it is still a newborn baby, so it is quite sleepy. After it finishes digesting the mica steel, I reckon it will quickly evolve. Corinne explained. This was the special characteristic of the slimes. As long as they had enough resources, they could evolve rapidly. There were almost no bottlenecks to speak of. However, this also meant that the slime race was very expensive. Without sufficient resources, it was impossible to raise a powerful helper. If an ordinary person raised a slime, they would immediately go bankrupt. Whoosh! Xiaoping nodded. He grabbed it with his hand and threw it into his spatial ring, letting it rest there for the time being. He looked around. Other than this golden slime, there were no other treasures in this space. All right, everything has been resolved. Looks like it's time to eat the 5-element spirit fruit. I'm going to break through into the king realm in one go this time. Chen Shi withdrew the 5-element spirit fruit while his eyes revealed burning desire. The king realm. This was the supreme realm in the sky realm. Once one broke through, it was similar to a carp leaping through the dragon gate. Among the tens of billions of humans, there were not many who could advance to the king realm. It could be said that becoming a king realm was the greatest dream of all ordinary people. When he was on Yanhuang Star, Xiaoping had never thought that he would be able to advance to the king realm one day. At that time, becoming a grandmaster was also an unreachable dream for him. However, in just a year, he had grown to this extent. It was really unimaginable. Do you really want to eat the 5-element spirit fruit now and advance to the king realm? Corinne suddenly asked. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. What's wrong? Can I? You can. Once you eat these 5 spirit fruits, according to your current savings, breaking through to the king realm shouldn't be a problem. However, in this way, you won't be able to stay in this special space and will be quickly expelled. Corinne pointed out this extremely important issue. Expelled. Xiaoping also suddenly thought of this problem. If he really advanced to the king realm at this moment, he was afraid that he would be expelled from this special space in an instant. If you leave this special space now, what will happen to the plan of the 5 major races to build the ancestral altar? Corinne said in a deep voice. If they really succeed in building it, and attract the aliens of the 5 major races from the depths of the universe, I'm afraid that the sky realm will be destroyed in an instant. It will be impossible to resist. Even if the 5 major races were not the top races in the universe, they were still relatively powerful races. Even if such races sent a small army, they could destroy the sky realm dozens of times. Compared with those races that could cross countless star fields, the humans of the sky realm were still too fragile. Indeed, I can't just leave like this now. I must destroy this ancestral altar. Xiaoping nodded. Once those aliens descended, not only would the sky realm be in big trouble, but even Yanhuang's star might be invaded by those aliens. At that time, his parents would be finished. He absolutely would not allow such a thing to happen. But in this way, the 5 elements spirit fruit can't be eaten for the time being. Xiaoping didn't expect that even if he got the 5 elements spirit fruit, he couldn't eat it immediately to promote to the king realm. But there was no other way. He had to postpone this matter for the time being. Anyway, the 5 elements spirit fruit was already in his hands, so it was not a problem to eat it anytime. Not necessarily. Corinne smiled slightly. If it's just one spirit fruit, it probably can't promote you to the king realm, but it can promote you to the 9th heaven of the supreme power realm. If I advance to the 9th heaven of the supreme power realm, my strength will be greatly improved. At that time, it will not be too difficult to deal with those purple mansion realm cultivators. Xiaoping nodded. There was no time to lose. He immediately left the dangerous cave to avoid the slime guards. He then went to a secluded cave entrance and hid inside. Chapter 10:15. Boom! When Xiaoping ate the wood spirit fruit, it melted in his mouth and turned into a wood spirit liquid. It quickly entered his body along his throat. At the same time, he ran the pure yang immortal technique. His whole body turned into a huge elixir furnace. The flame in the depths of the sea of qi in his dantian burned, and quickly refined the wood spirit liquid. Clatter! Xiaoping immediately felt that this wood spirit fruit contained a huge amount of life energy. It was more powerful than any elixir or spirit fruit he had eaten before. It was simply the essence of heaven and earth. At this moment, all his pores were opened, and he felt extremely comfortable. He greedily absorbed the huge energy emitted by this spirit fruit and integrated it into every cell in his body. At the same time, the elixir was refined by the sea of qi in his dantian and quickly transformed into gang qi. It went out of the sea of qi in his dantian and flowed through his body along his meridians. It was like a raging river rumbling. Bang! Bang! As the gang qi rose to a high level, the acupoints in Xiaoping's body that had not yet been opened could not bear the impact of the majestic gang qi, and were quickly opened one by one. It was simply irresistible. Even if he wanted to resist it, he could not. Just one spirit fruit has such a medicinal effect. If I take 5 spirit fruits at the same time, how amazing it will be. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He finally knew why the 5 elements spirit fruit had the energy to promote ordinary people to the king realm. It was worthy of being the spirit fruit cultivated by the 5 clans with all their efforts. It really had the power to seize the creation of heaven and earth. Even if he needed far more energy than ordinary cultivators, this wood spirit fruit could still meet his cultivation needs. It could be imagined how strange this kind of spirit fruit was. It was no wonder that the ancient demon clan was so powerful. There was once a demon saint, but they were so eager for the spirit fruit of the 5 clans. They did not hesitate to offend the 5 clans, and secretly took them back. This was indeed the supreme treasure that laid the foundation for the continued prosperity of the clans. Xiaoping did not know how long it had been. He had been refining the majestic elixir of the wood spirit fruit. Acupoints were opened one by one. In the end, his body suddenly shook. The last acupoint was opened by a large amount of Gang Qi, the ninth heaven of supreme power realm. Xiaoping immediately knew that he had finally stepped into the realm of the supreme power realm. The Gang Qi above each acupoint was rumbling and flowing, making his whole body full of strength. His muscles, bones, meridians, and skin had also been further refined with the promotion to the supreme power ninth heaven, and his strength had also been greatly improved. Even the mental strength in his mind had rapidly improved. A large amount of soul crystals had melted and quickly fused with his soul, causing his mental strength to continuously increase. Xiaoping was shocked. He felt that his originally vast brain region was now filled with mental energy. It had all turned into a gray mist, almost filling up his entire brain region. This was because the spiritual mist was so dense that it was about to liquefy. Supposedly, after the Violet Palace was developed, one's spiritual energy would liquefy, and this was an important symbol of advancing into the king realm. Such a spiritual energy was countless times more formidable than a grandmaster. At this moment, a virtual figure appeared in the depths of his mind, and he began to practice his martial arts, Myriad Beast's Fist, Head-Piercing 7 Arrows Technique, Dark North Body Protection Technique, Buddha's Palm, 8 Heavenly Dragons Music, Epic of Heaven, Star Attraction Technique, Pure Young Immortal Technique, 4 Seasons Sword Technique, Hell Demon Suppressing Spear, and other unique skills. Through such practice, he seemed to have mastered these martial arts, integrated them into his blood, and turned them into instinct, causing his understanding of martial arts to reach a higher level. Suddenly, as if he was blessed, Xiaoping couldn't help but make a sound. Wu, gu, ba, ma, ah, 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 ah. This was the 8 heavenly dragons' music. Saying these 8 syllables was like shaking heaven and earth, resonating with heaven and earth. The surrounding air faintly vibrated, as if a heavenly dragon was roaring. With Xiaoping's body as the center, the area within a radius of dozens of miles was affected. Many of the slimes were stunned. They felt an indescribable fear, as if there was a heavenly dragon roaring. That was an unparalleled existence that could not be matched at all. They wanted nothing more than to prostrate themselves on the ground and submit. But they couldn't find the source of this sound. They didn't know where it came from. This is the voice of a heavenly dragon. How can he understand it? Corinne's eyes widened, looking at Xiaoping in disbelief. It must be known that the dragon race is one of the peak races in the universe, and its strength is not inferior to the human race. And the dragon race's syllables are top secret. Only people with considerable status, or come from ancient orthodoxies, they simply won't know. Legend has it that the dragon's voice contains the supreme mystery of power. It can develop the human body's treasures, stimulate potential, and temper the physique. Many humans want to learn the heavenly dragon's syllables, but they can't. But Xiaoping learned it. It's really unimaginable. Corinne feels that this kid is incomparably mysterious. As if he is shrouded in a dense fog, he simply can't see the real details. It can simply be described as unfathomable. Along with these 8 syllables, Xiaoping's body produced a strange vibration. The surrounding world's essence distorted. It seemed as if the phantom of a heavenly dragon appeared. It faced the sky and roared. Not only his body, but even his soul was shaking, as if this was a cry from his soul. No way. The heavenly dragon's syllables is not only a sound wave technique, it can also temper mental power at the same time. Xiaoping's eyes revealed a glimmer of light as he continued to recite these 8 heavenly dragon's syllables, deepening their understanding. He increasingly felt that these 8 syllables contained a great power. It seemed as if they contained supreme mystery. Once he recited it, it seemed as if it formed a vibration with heaven and earth. It could mobilize the power of heaven and earth. At the same time, his soul was also slowly stained with a trace of dragon might. It had an innate majesty. It constantly trembled. It seemed as if it was undergoing a great tempering. A lot of mental impurities were expelled, causing his soul to become even purer. He immediately understood that although the heavenly dragon's syllables' attack power was only at the mid-grade king level, the secret it contained was far beyond the mid-grade king level. Whoosh! Xiaoping constantly recited these 8 syllables, tempering his mental power. tempering it over and over again. Slowly, the mental power in his body was originally very soft. It could be easily broken. But with the tempering of the heavenly dragon's syllable and the removal of impurities, it became as tough as cowhide. If he wanted to break it now, it would not be so simple. In the blink of an eye, a purple door appeared in his mind. Previously, he had been unable to break the purple door no matter what he did. But at this moment, Xia Ping's mind moved, and countless mental power threads gathered together, condensing into a gray spear. Dong! Chapter 10:16. It can't be right? Could it be that I can already open the Violet Palace and shatter the door to the Violet Palace now? Xia Ping felt that he wasn't far from the Violet Mansion realm, and as long as he was willing, he could step into the Violet Mansion realm at any time. But he still held himself back. Firstly, he hadn't resolved the matter of the 5 great races. If he rashly advanced into the King realm, then he would definitely be expelled from this secret realm. The gains wouldn't make up for the losses, and it would leave behind a huge problem in the future. Secondly, he hadn't successfully opened up all the acupoints in his body, and he hadn't allowed his body to reach its peak state. If he were to open up the Violet Palace now, it would probably leave behind injuries to his body. It was better to wait until his essence, chi, and spirit were all raised to the pinnacle state before opening the Violet Palace. Only then would his potential be boundless, and he wouldn't let his body leave behind an irreparable mistake. Otherwise, he would regret advancing rashly into the King realm for his entire lifetime. I've searched the entire world for it, only to find it by chance. Initially, I was still thinking about how to temper my mental power, but who would have thought that the 8 heavenly dragons' music would be a supreme secret technique for tempering one's mental power? Xia Ping was overjoyed. He felt that he had picked up a treasure. The more he cultivated the heavenly dragon's music, the more he felt that this martial art was unfathomable. If he cultivated it to a high level, even his soul would be tainted by the might of a dragon. With a single roar, all living beings would submit, and their spirits would crumble. When he thought up to here, he restrained his impulse to break through into the King realm, and he slowly consolidated his cultivation that had risen explosively while ceaselessly circulating the pure yang everlasting technique to allow his body to get accustomed to this explosive increase in strength. After a day, Xia Ping finally came out of seclusion. He had digested and absorbed the power of the Supreme Power Ninth Heaven, and his combat effectiveness had more than doubled. Even if Han Ge, the patriarch of the Drought Demon tribe, came again, he could still beat him half to death with his bare fists. Jiang Yi now had unprecedented confidence. Relying on his astral qi that was dozens of folds stronger than regular cultivators, coupled with the saint-class martial art, regular Purple Mansion realm cultivators weren't a match for him. Slime! At this moment, the slime in the space ring finally woke up from its slumber. It had devoured a large amount of mica steel, which gave it great benefits. However, its body was still the same as before, about the size of a soccer ball. It didn't seem to have changed at all. Senior, what is the use of this golden slime? Xia Ping placed the golden slime in his hand and gently pinched it. He felt that this was just a cute pet that only knew how to eat all day. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't look like a powerful helper. He looked at Corinne. It's very useful. Corinne stroked his grizzled beard. The most important thing is that slime has a kind of ability, and that is mimicry. It can change into various forms according to the master's will. For example, the ancient sage from before. The slime beside him turned into a weapon and armor that covered his entire body. It could be said that there were no gaps at all. With this Saint Tier armor, he is invincible. No Saint Tier attack can harm him at all. He is invincible even before the battle begins. Of course, you'll have to eat whatever you want to mimic. For example, if you want to transform into a weapon, you have to consume a large amount of iron, ore and various special minerals. The more precious and powerful these minerals are, the more powerful the weapon that the slime can transform into will be. Mimicry? Weapons. According to the master's will. Hearing Corinne's words, Xia Ping subconsciously looked at the golden slime. His heart moved, and he seemed to have an inexplicable connection with the golden slime's soul. Boom! In the next second, the golden slime's body immediately underwent a huge change. It was originally in a gelatinous state, but at this moment, it instantly turned into a 3-foot-long sharp blade. Under the illumination of the surrounding light, it emitted a burst of cold light, with a sharpness that could cut iron like mud. Bang! Xiaoping held the sharp blade and gently slashed it. With a poochie sound, a rock in front of him was instantly cut in half. The cut was smooth, as if cutting into tofu. Amazing! Xiaoping was surprised. This sword was sharper and more powerful than any sharp blade he had seen before. Even the precious weapon he had previously obtained, Flame Dragon Divine Sword, was completely incomparable to it. This was a sword transformed from the slime swallowing mica steel. It had the sharpness and toughness of mica steel. Even a Star Destroyer cannon could not break it. This was not a supreme weapon that could be made in the heavenly realm. It can still extend. Xiaoping suddenly sensed some information from the slime. He subconsciously moved, and the sharp blade in his hand instantly lengthened. It was hundreds of meters long, and in an instant, it pierced the mountain wall in front of him. He was dumbfounded. This sword was too terrifying. Who could have imagined that it could still extend? If he was fighting with this sword, and it suddenly lengthened, it could instantly pierce the enemy's body. In this way, the enemy would not even know what happened to them. But it was also natural that it could lengthen. After all, it was still a slime, and it belonged to a gelatinous state. It had the characteristic of almost infinite extension. Coupled with the toughness and sharpness of mica steel, it was simply invincible. It can also split. But this was just the beginning. Xiaoping's heart moved, and the sword extended. In an instant, it split from the middle, and immediately, dozens of sharp blades appeared. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, hundreds of sharp blades pierced out from the ground, tearing the earth apart. The rocks on the ground were smashed into pieces, and some were even cut into powder. This was like a mountain of knives in hell. Nothing could stop it. Just imagine, with the slash of this sword, hundreds, or even thousands of sharp blades would appear in an instant. Moreover, they were indestructible. Which enemy could resist them? With this weapon, even if it was 1 against 1,000, it wouldn't be a problem. This is simply an endless war blade. Xiaoping didn't hesitate to use his hands to hold this weapon. No wonder the golden slime was desired by countless powerhouses in the universe. Even the Starry Sect Master wanted it, and spent a lot of effort to find it. With the golden slime, it was equivalent to having the best weapon. Moreover, it was a weapon that was constantly evolving. As long as there were enough resources, it could become infinitely powerful. Who could resist such a weapon? It could be said that after having the golden slime, the desire for other weapons was not as great. Just by devouring mica steel, it is already so powerful. If it devours even more precious metal ores, wouldn't it continue to evolve? At that time, with this sword, I would be able to kill a king with a single slash without panting. Xiaoping clenched his fists and became more and more excited. He knew that he had really obtained a huge harvest this time. Whoosh! In the next second, the slime changed from a sword to a green bracelet, hanging on Xiaoping's right wrist. This was also the characteristic of the slime. It was ever-changing, and there was no need to specially keep it in a spatial ring. Chapter 10:17. Stop dreaming. Lu Qi sneered. I don't even know where he is right now. Even if I did, do you think I would tell you unscrupulous people? Even if I die, don't even think about getting a single piece of information from me. The 3 old masters sneered at Wu Quan and the others, their eyes filled with contempt. They had lived for hundreds of years, and had experienced everything. Even if they were tortured, it was nothing. Moreover, they had lived for such a long time, and didn't fear death like they did when they were young. This was just a reincarnation, and after 18 years, they would be heroes again. Wu Quan and the others clenched their teeth. If ordinary people said this, they would think that they were bluffing. However, the people who said this were old masters, who had lived for hundreds of years. Their willpower was like steel, not something young people could compare with. If they said they wouldn't say it, they definitely wouldn't say it. They wouldn't doubt the willpower of these old masters. Forget it. You guys aren't the only ones who know this news. Don't think that you guys are of great use. Even if you don't say it, others won't say it. I don't believe that all of you trash can withstand torture. At this moment, Lu Shan said sinisterly. He looked around and glanced at the monsters in the surroundings. Finally, his gaze fell on Tu Linglong and Qing Wan. I recognize this girl. She seemed to have been captured by that bitch Xia Ping. She was even taken into his mansion for a few days. I don't know what happened during that time. Ren Haodong pointed at Tu Linglong. He also understood some of the things that happened to Xia Ping. I remember too. This is the saintess of the myriad demon mountain race, Tu Linglong. As expected of the demon race's saintess. Her beauty is indeed amazing. Legend has it that that bitch Xia Ping is lustful. God knows how many women he has harmed. I reckon that this girl has fallen into that bitch's hands. She probably has already been fucked. So this Tu Linglong is that Xia Ping's woman? Yes, most likely. Also, that Qing Wan next to her might not be able to escape from Xia Ping's hands. Fuck, this beast has come to the secret realm to train. And he even brought 2 women with him. He's enjoying the bliss of having 2 wives. Damn it. I can't accept this. Why is it that we're in such a miserable state in this secret realm? We're being hunted down like dogs. And we're even being held captive and tortured. Yet this brat is living so comfortably. Anyone can live, but Xia Ping must die. Wu Quan and the others recalled everything that had happened before. Their hatred for Xia Ping could not be washed away even by the waters of 3 rivers. They wanted nothing more than to skin Xia Ping alive. At the same time, when they saw the 2 peerless beauties, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan, being defiled by Xia Ping every day, they were so jealous that they were about to go crazy. Tell me, little girl, where is Xia Ping? If you don't say it, I'll teach you a lesson. We have so many brothers here. Who do you want to serve later? Wu Quan stared coldly at Tu Linglong with an evil look on his face. Bah, a bunch of despicable humans. Stop dreaming. I won't say anything. Tu Linglong snorted coldly. Won't say anything? You're so loyal to Xia Ping that you can't bear to leave him after sleeping with him? Wu Quan said with a fake smile. It's okay. I'll make you forget him later. The other human grandmasters laughed sinisterly. What do you want? Don't come over, or I'll flip out. Tu Linglong glared at the group of human grandmasters. Flip out? How are you going to flip out at a time like this? Why don't you do it for me? When Wu Quan and the others heard this, it was as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. They felt that this was just a futile struggle. The leader of the drought demon tribe, Han Ge, was just behind them. He was a king. With such an expert by their side, no matter how the demons struggled, it would be useless. You guys are a little too much. Qing Wan's expression was calm, as she looked at the group of human grandmasters. It seemed that no emotions could be seen on her face. Too much. What's going to happen next is too much. You actually want to protect that slut Xia Ping. You guys sure are loyal. Since when are demons and humans so united? Have you guys been brainwashed by him? Wu Quan's expression was ferocious. I'd like to see if you can still be so stubborn after being tortured. Go and capture her immediately. I want to serve her personally. He no longer wanted to talk nonsense with this group of ignorant people. Han Ge seemed to be impatient, and a murderous aura spread from behind him. Whoosh! Immediately, more than 10 human grandmasters stood up and wanted to capture Qing Wan and Tu Linglong. There's no other way. All of a sudden, Qing Wan took out a transparent ball from her body and quickly instilled her demonic power into it. Immediately, a burst of energy erupted from the ball. With Qing Wan's body as the center, it formed a huge energy shield and quickly expanded, covering a radius of 1 kilometer. Any enemy that was hostile to Qing Wan would be quickly expelled by this energy shield. Bang! 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 In an instant, more than 10 human grandmasters were caught off guard and were sent flying for 2 to 3 kilometers. They coughed up blood on the spot and finally fell from the sky, creating a human-shaped pit. What? Isn't this the demon race's treasure, the Heaven Defense Orb? Why is it with you? Wu Quan and the others were shocked. They immediately recognized the treasure in Qing Wan's hand. The human race and the demon race had fought many times and knew each other's background very well. And this heaven defense orb had also appeared many times in the war between the demon race and the human race. Every time it caused great results, it left a deep impression in the human grandmaster's memory. Lu Qi and the other old grandmasters were also very shocked. They didn't expect Qing Yuan to take out such a treasure. This treasure was extremely powerful. Once it was used, it would create an absolute defense. It was impossible for a normal king to break through the defense of this heaven defense orb. This has nothing to do with you. Qing Yuan's expression was calm. For this trial, the entire myriad demon mountain attached great importance to it. In order to prevent any accidents from happening in this trial, in order to not let the rare geniuses Qing Yuan and Tu Linglong die prematurely, some old monsters of the myriad demon mountain put in a lot of effort and took out various treasures for Qing Yuan and Tu Linglong to protect themselves. And this heaven defense orb was one of them. Other than that, they also had many life-saving methods. Treasures. In the distance, the drought demon tribe leader Hanji's eyes suddenly lit up. A trace of greed surged in his heart, because it was basically impossible to obtain treasures in this mystic realm. Therefore, the 5 tribe leaders were all empty-handed. Chapter 10:18. Swoosh. In the blink of an eye, Han Ge didn't waste any time talking to Qing Yuan and the other demons. It flew up from the back and threw a punch in the air. The punch was as heavy as Mount Tai, and it ruthlessly smashed on the defensive cover. With a boom, the protective shield shook back and forth. It was almost deformed by the impact, and the entire ground was shaking, as if there was a magnitude 5 or 6 earthquake. The monsters were shocked and stared at Han Ge, afraid that Han Ji's punch would break the barrier. If that happened, they would be dead for sure. However, what made them rejoice was that this punch was unable to break through the power of the celestial dipper defense sphere. It only made a slight dent before it bounced back and sent Han Ge flying. What a powerful defense. Han Ji's eyes narrowed. He retreated a few hundred meters and stared at the barrier. His fist was numb. Even with his purple mansion realm strength, he couldn't break it in a short time. One could imagine how powerful this artifact was. It's useless. This artifact has an absolute defense. Even if a divine power realm cultivator attacks, it will be able to resist for a moment. Purple Palace realm cultivators may be powerful, but they won't be able to damage this artifact. Qing Yuan stood on the spot and controlled the heavenly defense sphere. She looked at Han Ge indifferently. I advise you to leave now. You won't get any benefits if you stay here. Leave? Han Ge laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Do you think you can stop me with just an artifact? No matter how powerful this artifact is, how long can you last? The monsters looked gloomy. Han Ge had found their weakness. Once the heavenly defense sphere was activated, they wouldn't be able to move and would consume a large amount of energy. Even if Qing Yuan was a divine beast and had 10 times the demonic power of a master realm monster, she couldn't last for too long. There would be a time when she couldn't hold on anymore. In short, as long as they continued to surround this place, they would wait until the Azure Yuan ran out of food and ammunition. At that time, they would be fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. It won't take too long. We just need to wait for reinforcements. Qing Yuan looked at Han Ge without any fear. Reinforcements? Interesting. What reinforcements do you have? Call them over. If I can't kill him in 3 moves, I'll change my surname to yours. Han Ge sneered. Really? Whoosh. Suddenly a voice rang out. At the same time, a figure leaped over from the distance like a bolt of lightning. In the blink of an eye, he landed in front of everyone, smashing a huge crater in the ground. What? The guards of the 5 major races were shocked. They did not expect that reinforcements would really arrive. They all looked over. Xia Ping. Wu Quan and the others immediately recognized that the person was Xia Ping. They were all shocked. Who would have thought that the person they had been searching for would directly appear in front of them? Human, how dare you? How dare you appear in front of me? Han Ji's face was gloomy. It had clearly recognized the culprit and could not help but clench its fists. Xia Ping ignored Han Ge and looked around. He found that Lu Qi and the other 3 human grandmasters were lying on the ground, as well as Tu Linglong, Qing Yuan, and the other demons were also seriously injured. He immediately frowned. At the same time, he also found that Wuquan and the others had also appeared beside the 5 major races like loyal lackeys. He immediately understood the situation at the scene like the back of his hand. I see. Wuquan, have you all betrayed humanity and become the lackeys of this group of aliens? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and stared at Wuquan and the others, revealing a trace of killing intent. Shut up, Wuquan shouted angrily. It's all your fault, bitch. If you had not left us to die and deliberately used us as bait, trying to kill us, we would not have ended up like this. It's all your fault, bitch. If it wasn't for you, we would definitely not have ended up like this. He pushed all the blame on Xia Ping, thinking that if this bastard did not appear, they would not have ended up in such a miserable state. It could be said that the reason why they became bandits was because of this bastard. If this was in ancient times, this bastard would undoubtedly be Gao Qiu, Qin Hui. He could be said to be a treacherous official throughout the ages. God knew how many loyal officials were forced to Liangshan, and how many loyal people lost their lives. That's right. If it wasn't for you, son of a bitch, we would not have ended up in such a miserable state. I guess you also did not expect that we would be able to survive. Fortunately, we are lucky and have a long life. Otherwise, we would have been killed by you. Even if we went to hell, we would not be able to complain. Today is the day you die, bastard. You won't be able to escape even if you grow wings. LV Shan and the others were all filled with killing intent as they stared at Xia Ping. When they thought of the torture they had received before, and how it was all because of this bastard, they were so angry that they could not wait to rush forward and tear him into pieces. No one could imagine that today, they would definitely return the pain they had suffered to this bitch 100-fold. Are you done? Then go to hell. Xia Ping looked at Wuquan and the others indifferently. He did not waste any time talking to them. Since this group of people had chosen to be his enemy and become traitors, they were his mortal enemies. There was no need for him to be polite with them. Boom! In an instant, with a thought, the golden slime on his wrist immediately changed. In an instant, it turned into a 3-foot sharp blade that emitted a cold light. Then it stabbed into the ground. In the next second, hundreds of extremely sharp blades appeared on the ground. It was like a mountain of blades from hell. They covered a radius of hundreds of meters, and happened to cover the ground where Wuquan and the others were standing. Not good. Damn it. Dodge. Wuquan and the others had goosebumps. They did not expect Xia Ping to be so cruel. He did not waste any time talking to them, and directly chose to attack. Moreover, it was a fatal attack. The blades emerged from the ground one after another. It was completely beyond their expectations. They did not even feel any killing intent coming at them. It was impossible to dodge in advance. By the time they realized it, the blades had already emerged from the ground. The ground was easily torn apart like it was made of paper. The sword chi was like a beam that pierced the heavens and the earth. Bang! 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 Unsurprisingly, the blades pierced through the bodies of Wuquan and the others. They were like barbecued meat, and were directly skewered together. Their bodies were pierced with bloody holes, and blood dripped down. In just a few breaths, the radius of hundreds of meters had turned into a small blood lake. You! Wuquan and the others widened their eyes and stared at Xia Ping. Their eyes were filled with unwillingness. Originally, they wanted to take revenge on Xia Ping. They wanted to take revenge. However, they had died in a single exchange, and it was truly a grievous death. Chapter 10:19. He killed dozens of human supreme masters in one move. He's too strong. Crow of Misfortune was scared to death when he saw this. He couldn't believe his eyes at all. Compared with before, it's simply incomparable. Could it be that this bad human has become stronger again? Tu Linglong blinked her pure eyes. She felt that this human was simply a monster, a ferocious beast in human skin. He has indeed become stronger. It seems that he has been promoted to the Supreme Master 9th Realm. Cyan Luan was speechless. She was now completely numb. Since she met this human, her worldview had been refreshed. Many things that she thought were impossible had been done by this human. Now, even if this human did something exaggerated, she wouldn't be shocked anymore. Damn, he broke through again. What the hell is wrong with this human? Is he going to let us live? He broke through so easily. Doesn't he have a bottleneck? If all human beings are such monsters, then there's no need to fight. Just be their demon pets. Metal Tiger and other monsters were all stunned. They were all the sons of the Demon King, and they stayed in the Wanyao Mountain, a place where there were many strong people, but they were also shocked by Xia Ping's performance. Before, they had wanted to surpass Xia Ping, but now they didn't. The speed of this bastard's progress was too shocking. It was not in line with common sense. These monsters were so shocked, not to mention Lu Qi and the other 3 human supreme masters. They didn't regard him as a human being, but as a rare monster. Those monsters were just shocked. But the soldiers of the 5 races were also scared to death. Their hair stood on end, and they had goosebumps all over their bodies, as if they had fallen into an ice cave. Everything that had happened just now had happened too quickly. If Xia Ping had targeted them instead of Wu Quan and the other human masters, they would have died in an instant, just like those human masters. After all, in terms of strength, they might not be a match for these human supreme masters in a one-on-one fight. The reason why they were able to capture these human supreme masters was because they had a large number of people, or in other words, a king. How could he be so fast? There's no murderous intent. Even the leader of the drought demon race, Han Ge, couldn't help but take dozens of steps back, distancing himself from Xia Ping. No one was more shocked than him. The stronger one was, the more they could sense how terrifying Xia Ping's move was. When ordinary living beings fought, no matter what, there would always be a faint murderous aura around them. Powerful martial artists would develop a sixth sense, and by sensing these murderous auras, they would be able to make predictions in advance. But it was different just now. When those swords pierced out from the ground, there was no killing intent at all. They were soundless and silent. It had no idea where those swords had come from, or where they were headed. It had no premonition. This greatly weakened its combat power. It was as if it was fighting an invisible enemy. No killing intent. Xia Ping smiled. He understood Han Ji's doubts very well, but this was a very normal thing. After all, it was a golden slime that had attacked. It was a simple-minded creature with only one thought in its mind, and that was to eat. To a golden slime, killing an enemy was no different from cutting a watermelon. It naturally wouldn't have any murderous intent, and it didn't have complicated thoughts like humans. It was as if it was in a pure and innocent state. But when it was killing an enemy, it was a very terrifying state, because it couldn't be predicted or judged. It would cause the enemy to be extremely confused, and they wouldn't know where they were coming from. This also increased the power of the golden slime's infinity blade by several folds. It was equivalent to a super killer. Han Ge. Xia Ping looked at Han Ge indifferently. Have you decided how you want to die? He held the infinity blade and pointed it at Han Ge lightly. With his body as the center, a terrifying aura was generated, covering a radius of a few kilometers. Immediately, the sand rolled, and the murderous intent spread. How do I want to die? Hearing this, Han Ge was so angry that he laughed. He was a monarch of the Purple Mansion realm, and his opponent was just a human master. How dare he ask him how he wanted to die? He was overestimating himself. You were lucky enough to escape with your life, and now you're so arrogant? This time, I won't underestimate you anymore. I'll use all my strength and kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, Han Ge attacked. This time, it didn't dare to underestimate Xia Ping at all. After the previous battle, it knew that although this human was only at the master realm, his strength was unfathomable. It was beyond its imagination that he could challenge someone of a higher cultivation level. Therefore, in order to kill this extremely dangerous human, it used all its strength from the beginning. It wanted to completely eliminate this dangerous human. Boom! Immediately, the drought demon bloodline in its body boiled, and violent flames came out from countless pores on its body. The black flames rose to a height of 4 to 5 meters, and spread over 100 meters. The weeds and trees on the ground were quickly evaporated, and turned into ashes when they came into contact with the black flames. Even the rocks were burned into powder. On the ground, the black flames spread as if they were in a hell of black flames. Any living creature that dared to enter this area of fire would be burned to death quickly. The soldiers of the 5 clans were so scared that their faces turned pale. They retreated one after another for fear of being involved. Because Cyan Luan and the other monsters were protected by the celestial defense ball, they didn't worry that they would be affected. They watched this earth-shattering battle nervously. Go to hell. Xiaoping didn't dodge. He held the Infinity War blade and slashed at it. The first move of the 4 seasons sword method, continuous spring rain. In an instant, beams of sword chi burst out from the Infinity War blade. They were so sharp that they seemed to be able to cut the void. The whole world seemed to be raining heavily at this time. However, this heavy rain was not ordinary raindrops. It was condensed by sword chi. Each raindrop could pierce through a mountain. Countless raindrops of sword chi gathered together and turned into a line. This line gathered all the power of sword chi and slashed at it. It was like a horizontal line that separated heaven and earth, containing the destructive power that could cut through everything. Xiaoping's own gang chi, the power of his swordsmanship, and the sharpness of the Infinity War blade. When the 3 superimposed, the power of sword chi was unimaginable. Oh no! Drought Spear's expression changed, and its hair stood on end. It could feel that it couldn't block this sword chi at all. Even the leader of the rock giants, who was known to have a diamond body, probably wouldn't be able to block this sword. Not to mention that it was defending against ordinary kings. It tried to dodge, but the speed of the sword chi was too fast. It was so fast that it didn't even have time to move. Bang! In the next second, the sword chi cut through the black flames on its body and reached its body directly. With a puchi, Drought Spear's body was cut in half. It fell to the ground just like that. Chapter 1020. No way, Hangu is dead. Tu Linglong and the other monsters were dumbfounded when they saw Han Ji's body being cut in half by Xiaoping's sword. They were even more shocked than Xiaoping's advancement to the 9th sky of the Supreme Power Realm. After all, Han Ji's identity was the patriarch of the Drought Demon Clan, a King Realm cultivator. Although he was just an ordinary King Realm cultivator, he was not comparable to a Master Realm cultivator. The gap between a Master Realm and a King Realm cultivator was like a chasm. A Master Realm cultivator could not defeat a King Realm cultivator. This was the consensus of countless creatures in the Cloud Realm, and no one could break it for thousands of years. But what was going on now? Xiaoping, a human at the 9th sky of the Supreme Power Realm, killed Han Ge, who was in the Purple Mansion Realm, with one move. This was too exaggerated. If this matter was spread to the outside world, it would definitely cause an uproar. My God, how powerful is this human? He is only at the 9th sky of the Supreme Power Realm, but he killed a King Realm cultivator with one move. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters were dumbfounded. They knew that this human was a monster, but they didn't expect him to be so powerful. The iron rules of the Cloud Realm that had existed for thousands of years were broken by him, and the so-called common sense was all torn apart. Is Han Ge a fake King Realm cultivator? Tu Linglong blinked her eyes and thought that Han Ge might be a fake. Otherwise, how could he be killed by Xiaoping with one move? He couldn't even escape. It was really a grievous death. A fake King Realm cultivator? Many monsters were speechless. If Han Ge could hear Tu Linglong's words, he would definitely die of anger again. It was impossible to pretend to be a King Realm cultivator. Whether he had the strength of a King Realm cultivator or not, they would know after a fight. Probably no one knew this better than them. According to the strength Han Ge had shown before, it alone was enough to kill them dozens of times. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to know Xiaoping's whereabouts from them, he would have killed them long ago. This human is too abnormal. Qing Huang couldn't help but curse. As a divine beast, although its bloodline was not very strong, it was still considered to be talented. However, it was only a legend to kill a King Realm cultivator at the Grand Master Realm. If it was in the ancient times, when the inheritance had not been cut off, it might not be a big problem. But now, without the inheritance of her ancestors, it was simply a pipe dream for her to achieve this. Fortunately, it's a human. Lu Qi, Guo Tsuani, and Li Yin were rejoicing. If Xiaoping was not a human, but a demon from the Wanyao mountain, then the human race would be in danger for the next 1,000 years. If such a monster were to become an enemy, he would undoubtedly be the most terrifying enemy. However, as an ally, it was definitely the most powerful assistance. At this time, the soldiers of the 5 tribes were also stunned. They watched as the chief of the drought demon tribe, Han Ge, died tragically on the spot. They couldn't come back to their senses for a long time. After a minute, they were still unwilling to accept this reality. Impossible, it must be an illusion. This must be an illusion. Lord Han Ge is a king, not some random Tom, Dick, or Harry. Now he's been killed by a human, and can't even escape. That's a little too much. What method did this human use? Could it be that he isn't a grandmaster at all, but a monster that has advanced to the king realm a long time ago? That's impossible. This secret territory has a special rule of the heaven and earth. Apart from the 5 tribes, all cultivators who have surpassed the grandmaster realm will be expelled. That being said, it's not impossible to avoid this kind of rule. Maybe there are some special secret treasures that can conceal the master's cultivation and deceive everyone. Yes, that explains it. This bastard human is obviously pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Lord Han Ge didn't realize it and fell into his trap. Shameless and despicable. He is a king, but he is pretending to be a grandmaster. Do you have any shame? The soldiers of the 5 tribes were all cursing. They thought that they had guessed the truth. They thought that this human was a king wearing the skin of a grandmaster. They thought that he must have used some shameless method to hide his cultivation. This could explain why this human was so strong. The soldiers of the 5 tribes had been surrounded and killed many times. If this human was a king, then everything was possible. But thinking about it, they felt very sad. They had been stupid enough to send a large number of elite soldiers to kill a king. It was like sending sheep to a tiger. It was like sending sheep to a tiger. It was not a siege. You should go too. After killing Han Ge, Xiaoping turned around and looked at the soldiers indifferently. His body emitted a shocking murderous aura. Damn it, run. Go back and report this immediately. Tell them that this human is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Break up and scatter. One of us must escape. Feeling the solid murderous aura, the expressions of the soldiers of the 5 tribes changed. They felt like sheep being targeted by a fierce tiger. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the blink of an eye, they split up and fled in all 4 directions. The rock giant ran with all his might. It was like he was running a 100-meter race. Relying on his long legs, he tried to cross the mountains. Hidorigami used the power of fire. Like a jet, he spat out flames behind him, creating a strong propelling force. He rushed hundreds of meters in an instant. The Blackwood race had many legs. Hundreds of roots ran with all their might. The slime race rolled on the ground. Some were like rubber balls. Some were like elastic beads, bouncing on the ground and tearing the air apart. The machine race was not slow either. Mechanical wings grew out of their backs. They flapped their wings and controlled the air. Dong! Xiaoping did not even look. He stabbed the Infinity War blade into the ground. Instantly, the ground cracked and countless cracks appeared. In just an instant, the Infinity War blade extended on the ground. The soil on the ground was like tofu. It was easily torn apart by the blade and rushed towards the ground. Immediately, hundreds and thousands of blades appeared on the ground. It was like a hell of knives. Under the sunlight, they emitted a bone-chilling light. Those aliens who wanted to escape could not escape at all. No matter how fast they were not as fast as the Infinity War blade. They caught up in an instant. Bang! Bang! These blades easily pierced through the bodies of the aliens. Some were cut in half. Some had their chests pierced, and some were chopped into pieces. Blood flowed everywhere. In a few breaths, the soldiers of the 5 tribes were all killed. Not a single one escaped. They all died on the spot. Chapter 10:21. Boom. Seeing that drought spear, and the soldiers of the 5 major races were all dead, Qing Wan also withdrew the heavenly defense sphere. Suddenly, many monsters walked out of the sphere. When they saw the large number of corpses on the ground and Drought Spear's tragic death, they all looked at Xiaoping with awe. It could be said that even if he hadn't advanced to the king realm, he was no different from a real king, who could kill a king. Most importantly, according to this abnormal talent, no monster thought that he would be stuck at the master realm forever. If even such a monster couldn't advance to the king realm, then there was no one else in the world who could. Xiaoping withdrew the infinite war blade and walked in front of Qing Yuan. He immediately saw the heavenly defense sphere in her hand and said, "This sphere is very good. It can actually resist the attack of a king. Can I take a look at it?" He blinked and looked at Qing Yuan innocently. "Don't even think about it. Can you get it back?" Qing Yuan flatly refused and looked at the hooligan angrily. To be honest, everyone knew this hooligan's character. If the pearl really fell into the hands of this bad guy, how could she get it back? It was clearly like throwing a meat bun at a dog and stuffing it directly into his own pocket. Unless she was crazy, she would never agree to this kind of thing. "How stingy! I saved your lives, but I can't even take a look at it?" Xiaoping felt that his request was very reasonable. These monsters were simply gauging the heart of a gentleman with their own mean measure. Qing Yuan said disdainfully, "Who needs your help? Even if you didn't come, I could still escape." She had many secret treasures on her. Even if she was attacked by a king, she wouldn't die. The reason why she didn't escape was because she was worried about the lives of the other monsters. However, if it really came to a critical moment, she couldn't care about the other monsters and could escape with Tu Linglong. "Forget it. If you don't want to show me, then so be it." Xiaoping rolled his eyes. "What other treasures do you have? Why are you so confident? Why don't you take them out for everyone to admire?" He put forward his suggestion. "Admire my ass." Qing Yuan bared her teeth and glared at Xiaoping. He said it was a treasure and a trump card. If he took it out and exposed it, it wouldn't be a trump card anymore. Moreover, this bastard had ulterior motives. If the treasure he took out was too precious, it might be snatched away by this bandit. At that time, he would lose both his treasure and his life. However, after thinking about it for a moment, she looked at Xiaoping, her eyes shining brightly. Suddenly, she circulated her demonic energy and sent a voice transmission that only she and Xiaoping could hear. "I do have a lot of treasures on me, but if you want them, you can trade with me. If I'm not mistaken, you must have gained a lot of benefits from the encampments of the 5 major races. Maybe you've also obtained the 5 elements spirit fruit." Qing Yuan's voice came over. She guessed that Xiaoping might have gotten the 5 elements spirit fruit. Xiaoping's progress was too fast. A few days ago, he was at the 8th heaven of Supreme Power Realm, but now he had been promoted to the 9th heaven of Supreme Power Realm. If he hadn't received the help of rare treasures, how could he have made such rapid progress? No matter how talented he was, it was impossible. "So what if I do? So what if I don't?" Xiaoping said with a smile. With his current strength, he had nothing to fear. So what if someone found out that he had a 5 elements spirit fruit on him? They wouldn't dare to rob him. If he didn't have the strength, he was afraid that countless people would covet him. But now he could even kill a king. If the enemy wanted to rob him, they had to think about whether he really had the strength to do so or not. Was he courting death? Sure enough. Hearing this, Qing Yuan was shocked. She knew that according to this bastard's character, how could he stay in the same place for no reason and willingly block the enemy for them? This treacherous human must have found that there were mature 5 elements spirit fruits in the Holy Land. So he deliberately sent them away and secretly obtained the 5 elements spirit fruit, wanting to keep it for himself. Although the process of her guess was wrong, in terms of the result, it was correct. Qing Yuan stared at Xiaoping and said, "I won't take advantage of you. I believe that you have obtained a lot of 5 elements spirit fruits. Otherwise, there would be no room for negotiation. I don't need a lot, just enough for 2 people." She wanted to get the 5 elements spirit fruit for herself and Tu Linglong. As for other monsters, she didn't care so much. You also know how precious the 5 elements spirit fruit is. If you want to get it, you have to pay a high price. Are you willing to exchange the celestial defense ball with me? Xiaoping smiled slightly. Don't even think about it. Qing Yuan said impatiently. The celestial defense ball is the treasure of the Wanyao Mountain clan. We can't lose it. Also, this is the treasure of the Wanyao Mountain. It's only temporarily lent to me. After this is over, I still have to return it. She knew that this bastard human was eyeing the celestial defense ball on her. If that's the case, what other treasures do you have? If it's not valuable, don't take it out. Xiaoping was disinterested. He felt that other than the celestial defense ball, Qing Wan didn't have too many treasures on her. I have 3 small teleportation talismans on me, Qing Wan said directly. This is a talisman left by the ancient monster race. Once it's torn, you can instantly teleport 1,000 miles. This is a life-saving talisman. Having one is equivalent to having another life. Not sure if we can exchange. Small teleportation talisman. Xiaoping's eyes twinkled. He also got a few small teleportation talismans in the universe virtual network. However, they could only be used in the virtual network. He didn't expect them to exist in the real world. It was no wonder that Qing Wan was so confident and didn't worry about dying under the king level. If she had a few small teleportation talismans, she might be able to escape from the king level at any time. Such talismans were indeed life-saving talismans at critical moments. Xiaoping rolled his eyes. No, although it sounds powerful, it's just a one-time use talisman. Moreover, there are only 3 of them. After 3 uses they'll be gone. How can it compare to the 5 elements spirit fruit that can help me advance to the king level? These things aren't enough. What? Hearing this, Qing Wan was so angry that smoke was coming out of her mouth. What do you mean by these things? One-time use talismans? These are life-saving talismans. They're precious treasures passed down from the ancient times. Once used, they'll be gone. God knows how many kings wish to get a talisman like this. This way, they can come and go freely in some dangerous places, without worrying about dying in these dangerous places. However, this bastard didn't care about it at all. He felt that it wasn't enough. She really wanted to slap this bastard human's face with her shoe. He was too greedy. However, Xiaoping wasn't willing to exchange. She couldn't do anything about it. After all, the initiative was in Xiaoping's hands. Moreover, she urgently needed the 5 elements spirit fruit to improve her strength. Chapter 1022. In order to prevent others from knowing that she and Xiaoping were exchanging treasures, Cyan Wan and Xiaoping temporarily left the valley and went to a secret place several miles away to communicate. What treasure do you want to exchange with me so secretive? Xiaoping curiously looked at Cyan Wan. He felt that since she was so confident in exchanging the 5 elements spirit fruit with him, such a treasure must be very precious. It is this thing. Cyan Wan took out a piece of bronze fragment from her body. When this bronze fragment appeared, it immediately filled the surroundings with an ancient aura, faintly emitting a terrifying pressure, as if a mountain was descending. It was engraved with densely packed vein patterns, like interweaving Tao marks, seemingly containing a mysterious power, as if a variety of mythological beasts had appeared. The aura was astonishing. What is this thing? Xiaoping's pupils contracted. He immediately felt that this bronze fragment was not simple. It was incomparably mysterious, seemingly containing a monstrous killing intent, as if a vicious beast was living in it. On the bronze fragment, there was a trace of purple blood, and a purple mist emerged. It was noble, ancient, and unfathomable, not knowing what kind of mysterious creature had left it. My God, this is a sacred tool fragment. Take it, you must take it. Corinne saw this bronze fragment, and immediately shouted in Xiaoping's mind, obviously very shocked. Sacred tool fragment? What is this thing? Xiaoping secretly asked. Corinne immediately said, do you know that there are several grades of magic weapons in the universe? The lowest grade is a treasured tool, which can be refined by a cultivator of the treasure refining realm. Of course, the power of the treasured tools refined by cultivators of different levels is also different, among which there are 3, 6, and 9 grades. And above the treasured tools are the spirit tools. The so-called spirit tools are treasured tools that have given birth to a tool spirit. A magic weapon with a tool spirit is far more powerful than a treasured tool. But there are very few magic weapons that have given birth to a tool spirit. Only high-level cultivators have the means to obtain a spirit tool. Spirit tool. Xiaoping also knew why a spirit tool surpasses a treasured tool. This is also a matter of course. If compared with a computer, then it is the difference between an ordinary computer and a smart computer. The gap between the two is huge, simply not on the same level. But Corinne did not stop talking and continued. And above the spirit tool is a sacred tool. It is a life source magic weapon refined by a sage. Its power is so formidable that it makes one's hair stand on end. Just a casual attack is already stronger than a Star Destroyer cannon. However, it is extremely difficult to refine a saint artifact. First of all, the materials needed to refine a saint artifact are extremely rare and priceless in the universe. Even a saint would have to pay a huge price to obtain them. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. Even if the sacred tool is very precious, this is just a fragment. It has been broken by someone, so there is probably no value left. Stupid. Corinne hated iron for not becoming steel. A rotten ship also has 3 nails. Even if it is only a fragment, it is still a fragment of a sacred tool. I don't know how astonishing the value of the material is. If I were to auction it in the universe, it would definitely fetch a sky-high price. Who knows how many tycoons would want to get their hands on this saint artifact material. The reason for that is because by melting down the sacred artifact materials, and then fusing them into a prized artifact, the prized artifact's power will increase by tens to hundreds of times. It will become a super killing weapon that no one will be able to stop. Just one piece of this material is worth who knows how many prized artifacts. This girl doesn't know what's good for her. That's why she took out this sacred artifact material to exchange for the 5 elements spirit fruit. If it were in the universe, who knows how many 5 elements spirit fruits it would be worth. She demanded that Xiaoping must get his hands on this sacred artifact fragment. Even if he doesn't auction this sacred artifact fragment, it can also be swallowed by the golden slime. At that time, the countless war blades it can transform will become even more terrifying. Maybe it will have a trace of the might of a sacred artifact. Just this one piece. Is there anything else? Xiaoping was greedy and wanted a few more pieces. Blue Wan saw through this bastard's thoughts and said with disdain, "Just this one piece. Do you want it or not? This is a secret treasure that I inadvertently obtained from the Myriad Monster Mountain's treasury. There is no more." She spread her hands, indicating that this was her final bottom price. She wouldn't be able to take out any more. Okay, then it's a deal. Xiaoping grabbed with his big hand and immediately took out 2 portions of 5 elements spirit fruit. Sure enough, there is 5 elements spirit fruit. Blue Wan gritted her teeth. This bastard human really held back. Everyone obviously went together, but all the benefits were obtained by this shameless human. She really wanted to knock this shameless human out and loot all the treasures on him. That way, she would probably become the richest female monster in the Myriad Monster Mountain. However, she resisted the urge and took out the 3 minor transference talismans and the bronze fragment. The 2 exchanged with each other. The scene was very peaceful. Okay, this matter is over. Don't go around saying that I have 5 elements spirit fruit. I don't want others to know about this. Xiaoping reminded. Of course I won't tell anyone. Blue Wan nodded. It was also a top secret that she had 2 portions of 5 elements spirit fruit. Otherwise, if other monsters knew about it, she didn't dare to guarantee what they would think. After all, a monster that advanced to the king realm was really too big. Even if she was the Myriad Monster Mountain Saintess, it was very difficult to resist such a greedy monster. No one could guarantee that they wouldn't strike a lethal blow in secret when facing such beasts. It was better to wait until she and Tu Linglong ate the 5 element spirit fruits and advanced into the king realm. At that time, no one would be able to do anything to them. Whoosh! After finishing the transaction, Xiaoping and Blue Wan returned. Sister Blue Wan, you weren't bullied by that bad guy, right? Having just returned, Tu Linglong kept touching Blue Wan's body. She was afraid that she was missing something precious, and that it might have been ruined by that shameless human. I'm fine. Blue Wan angrily knocked her little head. Okay. Tu Linglong touched her little head and asked curiously. But Sister Blue Wan, What exactly did you talk about with that bad guy? Why were you gone for so long? The other monsters were also very curious, and pricked up their ears to eavesdrop. It's not a big deal. We were just chatting. Glulwan smiled slightly, and avoided the important matter. She wanted to skim over this matter, and didn't want to continue discussing it. The other monsters were extremely disappointed, but since Glulwan didn't want to say it, none of them could force her. Okay, don't talk nonsense here. Xiaoping looked at the monsters and said, I heard the news that the ancestral altar of the 5 clans is about to be completed. Once they complete the ancestral altar, they will definitely contact their companions in the depths of the universe. At that time, I'm afraid that the entire cloud world will be in danger of being annihilated. So what we need to do now is very simple. We need to destroy the ancestral altar on Ancient Turtle Mountain. If they dare to stop us, we will directly destroy them. He was full of killing intent. If any enemy wanted to harm the human world, he would definitely not be lenient. Chapter 1023. In the center of the secret plain, there stood a super mountain range. It was incomparably majestic, reaching a height of 13,000 meters. From afar, it looked like a giant tortoise lying on the ground. The mountain peak was shrouded in mist, making it impossible to see the peak clearly. Anyone would feel insignificant at the foot of the mountain. This mountain was Ancient Turtle Mountain. At this moment, wooden fences were set up halfway up the mountain. Tens of thousands of guards from the 5 races were guarding this place. The security was tight, preventing anyone from coming up. Have you heard about what happened recently? It's said that the sacred tree of our 5 races has disappeared. I've heard about this for a long time. I heard that it was done by a human. What? Which human is so daring to do such a thing? Isn't he afraid of death? It seems to be a human called Xiaoping. The chief of the Drought Demon tribe personally went to kill him, but he escaped. How can this be? The chief is a King Realm expert. How can he not kill a puny human? I'm not sure. Maybe that human played some tricks and made the chief careless. In short, he escaped in the end. The chief of the Drought Demon tribe is still chasing him. He runs fast. But it doesn't matter even if we can't catch him. Our ancestral altar is about to be completed. When we contact our companions in the depths of the universe, that human will definitely die. That's right. When the armies of the 5 races arrive, where can that human run to? At that time, not only will he die, even the humans related to him will die. They've locked us up for so long. It's time to collect some interest. Yes. Although it's not a human who locked us up, they still deserve to die. All living beings in the sky realm must die. Many of the guards gnashed their teeth in anger. They had been trapped in this place for God knows how many years, and the accumulated resentment was not a joke. Once it erupted, they would not be able to solve this problem without a bloodbath. This was a war between races. It was either you die or I live. Stop. Suddenly, one of the guards noticed a figure in the distance. He immediately shouted, "This is a restricted area. Unauthorized people are not allowed to enter. What are you doing here? If you don't tell us why you're here, we'll kill you immediately." It warned the figure that was trying to enter. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, a dense crowd of figures immediately appeared in front of the checkpoint. It was Xiaoping, the 3 great human grandmasters, Tu Linglong, and the other demons. There were at least 100 of them. Basically, all the surviving demons were gathered in this place and followed Xiaoping here. It wasn't that they weren't afraid of death, nor were they afraid of Xiaoping. It was because they were very clear that once the ancestral altar was completed, the first to die would be the countless monsters of the 1,000-monster mountain. Even if they had to pay with their lives, they had to stop the 5 great races. Therefore, their goal was to destroy the ancestral altar. It's a human. That human Xiaoping has appeared. One of the guards immediately screamed, recognizing Xiaoping, who was standing in front of him. This was because Xiaoping's image had basically been transmitted to the hands of every soldier, and they would recognize him, even if he turned into ashes. "Kill him!" One of the rock giant elders roared. He made a prompt decision and gave the order. They knew that this group of humans and demons had not come to this place to treat them to a meal. They had come with hostility. Even if they did not come with enmity, they were still irreconcilable enemies with humans and monsters. They would kill each other as soon as they saw each other. There was no need for any other reason, so they immediately attacked. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, these soldiers immediately rushed forward in a mighty manner. Thousands of soldiers were like thousands of soldiers and horses. Their momentum was amazing, and it was enough to crush everything. Do it! Xiaoping stood with his hands clasped behind his back and gave the order. Immediately, hundreds of monsters immediately took out a miniature nuclear bomb, which was taken out of the space ring by Xiaoping. All the weapons were given to the group of monsters. He also stored 2,000 to 3,000 of them, which was an amazing number. There was no need to worry about running out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The next second, these nuclear bombs were thrown at the group of soldiers. It should be known that these monsters were all masters of the Guru realm. The accuracy of their hidden weapons was frighteningly accurate. Each of them was in charge of an area and carried out a covering attack, like a missile bombing. Rumble, in an instant, these miniature nuclear bombs exploded at the same time, instantly affecting all the flat land on the mountainside. The whole mountain shook violently, as if there was a magnitude 7 or 8 earthquake. A huge black mushroom cloud rose out of thin air, condensing into a substantial sound wave and spreading in all directions, shattering huge rocks along the way. The soldiers were even more miserable. They were close to the center of the explosion. Even the captain of the Guru realm could not withstand it, and was blown to pieces in an instant. Countless deep pits appeared on the ground, and broken limbs and bones were everywhere. In just a few minutes, more than half of the thousands of soldiers were killed or injured. This is the sharp weapon of civilization. Is it useful to have more people? They are all here to die. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, feeling very emotional. The power of the nuclear bomb was really amazing. Tu Linglong and the other monsters looked at Xiaoping speechlessly. They also knew that the power of the nuclear bomb was amazing. It was definitely a divine weapon in a war, which could destroy a group of cannon fodder in an instant. The problem was, how on earth did this human carry so many nuclear bombs in? He had used up a batch before, but now he still had a pile of them. It was really amazing. They all suspected that this guy was carrying a gunpowder warehouse with him. If anyone dared to find trouble with this human, they would probably be in big trouble. No one knew how many nuclear bombs were thrown at them. Even if they were kings, they would be in trouble. However, it was fortunate that this human had prepared so many means. Otherwise, if he really faced this army of tens of thousands of people, he was afraid that many people would really die before he could reach the top of the mountain. Lu Qi, Guotsuani, and Li Yun, the 3 old human gurus, were also speechless. They also felt that this young man was more and more abnormal. It was amazing that he was strong, but he also had so many tricks up his sleeves. There are still some defeated soldiers. Let's kill them. Xiaoping scanned with his mental strength and found that even under the explosion of hundreds of nuclear bombs, there were still some guru monsters who could survive. However, all of them were seriously injured, and their strength was reduced by more than half. Qing Wan and the other demons immediately attacked. After a while, all the injured soldiers were killed. Not a single one was spared. For them, it was too easy to deal with some seriously injured gurus. Let's go. Xiaoping waved his hand. His destination was not the middle of the mountain, but the top of the mountain. Without this group of soldiers blocking his way, the next step would be smooth. Chapter 1024. At the peak of ancient Turtle Mountain, Xiaoping and the others finally arrived at this place. When they looked up, they immediately saw a huge altar. The altar was dozens of meters tall and 2 to 3 kilometers long. It was made of special minerals and was extremely hard. There seemed to be a huge super array carved on it. The patterns of the array were dug out by a powerful force. They were like ravines that were filled with blood. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Vaguely, the array seemed to resonate with the heaven and earth. All the spiritual energy in a radius of hundreds of kilometers gathered at this place and poured into it, as if it had become a source of energy. At this moment, there were at least 100 elders of the 5 clans around the altar. Other than them, The leaders of the other 4 clans were here too. It seemed that the ancestral altar was close to completion. If Xia Ping's group didn't disturb them, they would be able to finish building the ancestral altar very soon. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Sensing the presence of Xia Ping's group, the elders of the 5 clans turned around and stared at the uninvited guests. The leader of the rock giant clan, Yanbao, spoke first. He stared at Xia Ping and said, "I didn't think a human like you would dare to appear here. Such a huge commotion just now. The soldiers down there are probably all dead." His eyes revealed a frightening cold light. Such a huge commotion had happened before. If it was a normal time, he would have gone down to check it out. However, he couldn't do it now. Because the ancestral altar was about to be completed, they basically couldn't leave. Otherwise, all their previous efforts would have been in vain, and the loss would be irreparable. "Yes, they're all dead." Xia Ping nodded and admitted. "No, where's Hangge? Hangge should have gone to find trouble with you. He even sent a message that you were surrounded. How did you come to this place unharmed?" The leader of the Blackwood clan's face was gloomy. He felt something was wrong. "It's simple. He's also dead," Xia Ping said indifferently. "What?" The elders of the 5 clans were shocked. They couldn't believe this. Hangge was the leader of the Drought Demon clan, a king-level warrior. How could he just die like that? However, if Hangge wasn't dead, why did this group of people appear here unharmed? Even if Hangge wasn't dead, he was probably in a precarious situation right now. The odds were against him. However, Hangge was a king-level expert. What kind of tricks did these guys use to put Hangge in such a difficult situation? Their eyes flickered, as if they wanted to see through Xia Ping's trump card. "You're here to stop us from building the ancestral altar?" The leader of the metal race stared at Xia Ping. The 5 races shouldn't have any deep grudges with the humans. Why are you helping the demons ruin our plans? If you're willing to stand on our side, you'll definitely gain the friendship of our 5 clans after everything is done. Even if the entire Cloud Realm is occupied by you humans, it doesn't matter. It drew a big pie for Xia Ping. Friendship? Hearing this, Xia Ping instantly smiled. When the armies of the 5 major races from the depths of the universe come, they won't be bringing friendship but war. What you're saying right now is no different from farting. If you go back on your word and say that you want to wipe out the humans and completely occupy the Cloud Realm, what can we do to you? Do you think I'll believe you when you say such wishful thinking? It was the stupidest thing to put one's safety in the hands of the other party's good intentions. Hadn't they heard enough of the story of the farmer and the snake? Perhaps the other party really didn't care about the existence of the Cloud Realm. Perhaps they really didn't want to wipe out the humans, but it was also possible that they didn't like the humans and wanted to kill them all. Even if the 5 major races discovered that there were some resources they needed in the Cloud Realm and wanted to occupy this place, it was very likely that such a thing would happen. If it really happened, how could the humans in the Cloud Realm resist? Could they just close their eyes and wait for death? When the reinforcements of the 5 major races arrived, the ones in charge would not be the leaders, but the reinforcements. No matter how dignified they sounded, it was undeniable that they were wolves and tigers with the power to wipe out the creatures in the Cloud Realm at any time. You don't know how to appreciate favors. If that's the case, then I'll wipe you all out, build the ancestral altar, leave this damned place, go to the Cloud Realm, and kill all the humans and demons. Blood will flow like a river. The leader of the Metal Clan shouted angrily. With his body as the center, a tyrannical golden hepta-chi burst out and swept the area within a radius of dozens of kilometers. Vaguely, the surrounding air seemed to be filled with the smell of metal. Even breathing in the air was like breathing in a piece of scrap iron. It was extremely heavy. Boom! Seeing that the negotiation was not going to work, he knew that continuing to talk would be useless. So he immediately took action. At this moment, its hands had actually turned into 2 frightening blades, and it attacked Xia Ping. In an instant, dense sword chi appeared in the air, condensing into a substance. Each sword chi had the power to cut a mountain. It was extremely shocking. The sword chi enveloped Xia Ping like a big net, not giving him any space to escape. So strong. Tu Linglong and the other demons were forced to retreat. This kind of sword energy was condensed from magic power and was like a real sword. If an ordinary grandmaster were to come into contact with it, his gang chi defense would be instantly torn apart, and his entire body would be split in half. If they stayed where they were, they would probably be killed by the leader of the Metal Clan in a single move. This was not an enemy that masters like them could fight against. Young God Fist. Without saying a word, Xia Ping took a step forward. Golden flames that were dozens of feet tall immediately emerged from his body. Like a fire god, he punched out with a huge flaming fist. The flames surged and the yang qi was overwhelming. Rocks, steel and other materials within a radius of hundreds of meters around Xia Ping were instantly incinerated. The rocks even turned into magma, turning the area into a volcano. Rumble. As the fist punched out, the sword qi in the distance could not withstand such a high temperature and was instantly incinerated. It turned into a large amount of molten iron and fell from the sky. It was like a rain of fire, dripping and dripping, corroding the ground. Shocking deep pits appeared, and the pits were filled with flames. The fist force even penetrated and passed through inch by inch, directly hitting the leader of the Metal Clan. What? Chapter 1025. The patriarch of the Metal Clan screamed. His whole body was sent flying across the ground, leaving a shocking mark on the ground that stretched for several kilometers. Finally, he smashed into the mountain wall, creating more than a dozen cracks. The earth trembled, and smoke and dust filled the air. It can't be. The elders of the 5 clans were stunned. They could see that he was only at the 9th heaven of supreme power realm. But his combat power was simply earth-shattering. Even the patriarch of the Metal Clan could not withstand a punch from him. He was directly sent flying and seemed to be seriously injured. In front of this human, ordinary supreme power realm masters would be instantly killed by one punch. At this time, they also recalled what Xia Ping had said just now. He said that the patriarch of the Drought Demon Clan, Hangu, was already dead. They did not believe it before, thinking that it was simply a joke. However, seeing the strength that Xia Ping had displayed, it was not impossible. I see. In just a few days, you have become so powerful. Did you take away the 5 elements spirit tree of our 5 clans? Is that why you have obtained such a great benefit? Akbao's face was gloomy. He recalled that the disappearance of the spirit tree of his clan had a great relationship with this human. Moreover, they could not think of any other way to make him so powerful in such a short period of time, except for the spirit tree of their clan. But the more it was so, the angrier they became. After all, this human strength was built on the pain of the 5 great races. He had only become so powerful because he had sucked their blood. Who could endure this? They wanted to tear this little thief into pieces. Why are you still wasting your breath on him? Just kill him. Since he dares to come and destroy our ancestral sacrificial altar, only death awaits him. No one will be able to save him. The leader of the Blackwood race roared with killing intent. Its body was a giant black tree that was hundreds of meters tall. There were thousands of vines growing all over its body, like thousands of tentacles. Each of them was no less flexible than an ordinary human's hand. Now that it attacked, it was really amazing. The vines shot out at a speed of more than 20 times the speed of sound, like God-killing spears. Even the air was quickly pushed away, rippling out in all directions. If one was hit by the vines, their entire body would explode. The vines were even stained with a black liquid, which was the poison of the Blackwood race. The poison within the bodies of ordinary Blackwood soldiers at the Grandmaster realm was already capable of killing countless living beings. Now this was the patriarch of the Blackwood clan, a king realm cultivator. So the poison within his body was more than 100 times more terrifying. Even kings would die in a short period of time if they came into contact with it. Right, let's attack together. The slime chief also roared. He turned into a green sphere that continuously shrank until he was only the size of a glass bead. He bounced off the ground and instantly flew over like a sniper bullet. With such a small size and such a fast speed, ordinary creatures would not be able to withstand it. More often than not, the slime chief would pierce through their skulls and cause them to explode like watermelons. Die! The patriarch of the rock giant tribe, Rock Bao, also nodded his head. Now was not the time to fight one-on-one, but a war between races. The ancestral altar could not be lost. He had to kill all of these enemies. Only then would he be able to settle this once and for all. Otherwise, if this human destroyed the ancestral altar, the 5 races would really have no hope of escaping this cage. Boom! Rock Giant's ultimate technique, multiple shadow fist. In the blink of an eye, Rock Bao also flew up from the ground. In an instant, there were hundreds of his figures on the ground. All of them were extremely similar, and it was impossible to distinguish them with the naked eye. But among all these figures, only one was real. If he could not find the real Rock Bao among all these figures, he might not be able to withstand this attack. For a moment, it was as if there were hundreds of Rock Bao attacking the ground at the same time. It was impossible to tell which one was real and which was fake. With the strength of the rock giant, if he was hit by Rock Bao's fist, his entire body would probably shatter. Too strong. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters all held their breaths, dumbfounded. Even in the Myriad Monster Mountain, they had seen a few monster kings fight, but those were just ordinary sparring. They had never fought to the death. But now the situation was different. That was a monster king going all out. The power they could unleash was completely different from usual. If they were careless, they might lose their lives immediately. Feeling the power displayed by these monster kings, they all felt hopeless. If they were on the battlefield, they would probably be killed in an instant. Black Vortex Ripple Fist. Xia Ping remained expressionless, even in the face of the joint attack of the 3 kings. He punched out in the void, using a supreme martial art that he had created himself. His fist punched out. Immediately, with his fist as the center, a huge black whirlpool appeared. All the yuan qi in the surroundings spun crazily, as if even light was being sucked into the whirlpool. Anything that approached the whirlpool would be sucked in and instantly crushed to pieces. Oh no! Damn, what kind of fist technique is this? Don't go near that human! The 3 monster kings were shocked. This was the first time they had seen such a shocking technique. With just one attack, their attacks seemed to have stopped. Rock Bao's multiple shadow fist was completely useless against Xia Ping. As soon as he approached the whirlpool, over 100 figures were swallowed up completely. All the fist energy turned into nothingness. The Monster King's true body also fell down, appearing on the ground. The Blackwood tribe leader's 1,000 vines looked extremely terrifying. But as soon as they approached Xia Ping's body, they were instantly sucked into the black whirlpool and crushed to pieces. No matter how tough an object was, it would be instantly crushed in front of the whirlpool. Once swallowed, there was no way to escape. The most miserable one was the slime tribe leader. It had actually foolishly charged into Xia Ping's body. This was like a sheep walking into a tiger's mouth. It was clearly sending itself to its death. In an instant, it was sucked into the whirlpool's core and killed by the violent whirlpool's power. Die! Xia Ping clenched his fist. Countless acupoints stellar energy surged violently and poured into his fist, forming an ultimate whirlpool that was slowly transmitted into the slime tribe leader. Even though the slime tribe leader was in a gelatinous state, the whirlpool's power passed through its body and directly penetrated its essence. Any constitution would be useless against the whirlpool's power. It immediately let out a miserable shriek. With a snapping sound, a powerful wave of energy seeped in, immediately shattering the slime tribe leader's core. Its entire soul was shattered into pieces. Chapter 1026. What? When the elders of the 5 clans saw this, they were all dumbfounded. They didn't care about the death of the leader of the Drought Demon tribe, because they thought that Xia Ping must have been lying. But now they saw the leader of the slime tribe die in front of them. This was a fact that couldn't be faked. They couldn't accept it and were extremely angry. Damn it! Let's kill this bastard together. Kill him! Many elders shouted angrily. They couldn't stand this kind of thing at all. They immediately rushed toward Xia Ping. Hundreds of monsters at the peak of the Grand Master Realm attacked at the same time. Immediately, hundreds of shocking strength attacked from different directions. It was like an inescapable net. They wanted to tear Xia Ping into pieces in an instant. Xiaoping grabbed the countless blades in his hand and slashed at the group of elders. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, hundreds of sharp blades appeared in the air and kept extending. So strong. The Raven of Misfortune and the other demons were astounded. They saw a dense number of blades appear in midair. Each blade was extremely sharp and emitted a chilling sword beam. Moreover, the speed was so fast that ordinary people couldn't see it with their eyes. With a bang, the strength of the earth energy that the elders sent out was cut into pieces. Even the strength of the earth energy couldn't resist the power of the blades at all. They continued to advance. Ah! Suddenly, the elders let out shrill screams because the blades pierced through their earth energy defense and directly pierced through their bodies. They were like barbecued meat. A large amount of blood flowed out. It was as if they were facing a mountain of knives in hell. Their bodies were pierced by the dense sword chi. They couldn't even be cut by 1,000 knives. In the face of the combat power of the king level, these elders were as weak as babies. They couldn't resist at all. This is too abnormal. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters saw this kind of terrifying combat power again. Before, they still had a glimmer of hope. Maybe they could limit the growth of this human, or maybe they could fight against him. But seeing this scene, they were completely gone. This human had completely grown up. Even if the Wanyao Mountain went all out to kill him, they couldn't do anything to him. The best time to eliminate this scourge in advance was gone. Bastard! Patriarch Blackwood was so angry that his entire body was trembling. Seeing so many elders die tragically, he felt as if his chest was about to explode. A murderous look appeared in his eyes. Let's go. Xiaoping was cold-blooded and merciless. He knew that if he did not eliminate this group of enemies today, the humans in the Cloud Realm would die under their blades once the other party's ancestral altar was completed. This was a war between races. How could there be mercy? If you show mercy to them today, they might not show mercy to you in the future. A woman's benevolence will only kill the army. Moreover, when they were waving their butcher knives, they didn't have the slightest bit of mercy towards you. Now it was only because they were weak that it seemed very tragic. If they were strong enough and had the upper hand, they would be able to kill and seize the lives of human beings. That would be a completely different story. Those human grandmasters who had been captured by the 5 clans could feel it the most. Those aliens were no less ruthless than any executioner. Sun God Fist. He punched out, and it was as if a sun had appeared in the mortal world. Terrifying yang qi surged, almost burning everything. The area within a radius of several kilometers was filled with terrifying heat. Any enemy standing in this area would feel as if they were about to be cooked. Oh no! The chief of the Blackwood tribe's expression changed. The anger in his heart disappeared under this punch. At this moment, he felt that his life was like a candle in the wind, about to be extinguished at any time. The omnipresent flames had completely locked onto his aura. In an instant, they surrounded him from all directions, forming a huge whirlpool that seemed as if it was about to crush him. Moreover, as a member of the Wood tribe, he was most afraid of flames. They were known as the nemesis of fire. Moreover, these flames were heavenly flames, which were extremely harmful to the Blackwood tribe. Once touched by these flames, he would die without a doubt. Die! The chief of the Blackwood tribe shouted angrily. The thousands of vines that had been crushed were quickly restored, due to his rapid growth. He waved the thousands of vines in the air. Immediately, it was as if a group of demons were dancing in the air, covering the sky. Each vine was like a divine spear. They were extremely fast, piercing through everything. The surrounding air was stirred up, condensing into a terrifying aura. These vines gathered together and intertwined with each other, forming a super long spear that shot toward the fiery fist, wanting to pierce through it. Boom! At this moment, the two forces collided with each other, creating a shocking explosion. The surrounding air vibrated thousands of times, and the entire mountain rumbled. The ground couldn't bear the power of such an explosion. Astonishingly deep pits were blasted into the ground. Soil flew everywhere, and hundreds of cracks spread out like a spider web. In the distance, huge rocks were directly crushed into powder. Trees were also thrown away, exploding in midair and falling to the ground. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters were scared half to death. They all retreated a few kilometers. This was a battle to the death between kings. If masters like them dared to get involved, only death awaited them. This was already beyond their understanding. Perhaps they would understand a little if they became kings. But now, they could only hide with all their might. Not good. However, the leader of the Blackwood race didn't look happy at all. Although he had blocked such a powerful fist force, the power of the strange fire was still burning his body along the vines. Even if he wanted to use his magic power to extinguish the flames, it was useless. It seemed that the strange fire was using his body as fuel. Like fire meeting diesel, it began to burn fiercely. In just a few breaths he was half dead. His entire body had turned into a huge torch. Die! Xiaoping leaped up, clenched his fist and suddenly punched. A solid golden fist mark appeared in midair. It passed inch by inch, and directly reached the body of the leader of the Blackwood race. Dong! This punch was so powerful that it instantly blew up the body of the leader of the Blackwood race. A shocking big hole appeared in the middle of his body. Wood fragments flew everywhere, and his entire body was torn into pieces. At the same time, the power of the flames started burning in his body. It seemed that every cell in his body was being burned by the flames. Ah! The leader of the Blackwood race let out a shrill scream. He had never experienced such pain in his life. Chapter 1027. Dong! Just as Xiaoping killed the chief of the Blackwood race with a single punch, and the entire battlefield was filled with dust and sand, a figure attacked from the dark like a cannonball and punched Xiaoping's back. The one who attacked was the chief of the rock giant race, Rock Bao. It had been hiding in the shadows all this time, enduring and waiting for an opportunity to find Xiaoping's flaws, to find an opportunity to deal a fatal blow to Xiaoping. As expected, the moment Xiaoping killed the chief of the Blackwood race with a single punch, he found a flaw in this human's defense and attacked decisively. His attack was filled with lethal killing intent. It could be said that this punch contained all of Rock Bao's power from his heel, knee, waist, spine, neck, arm, and fist. This kind of power was transmitted bit by bit, and the power was also doubled. By the time it reached the fist, the power had already risen to the pinnacle. This punch was not simple either. It contained the supreme martial art of the rock giant race, called the Rock Vacuum Punch. Once used, the destructive power would increase to a terrifying level and destroy everything. Boom! As expected, when this punch was thrown, all the air within a radius of dozens of meters was expelled, forming a vacuum zone. The surrounding air was expelled, creating an extremely terrifying pressure. The rocks in the distance were crushed by this pressure, and were instantly flattened to the thickness of a piece of paper. Even a purple mansion realm cultivator would be smashed into pieces by this punch. Bang! This punch landed squarely on Xiaoping's body, and a shocking sound came from the surroundings. It's over. The crow of misfortune and the other monsters went completely crazy when they saw this. Of course, they didn't feel pity for Xiaoping's death, but Xiaoping could die at any time, but not now. If Xiaoping died now, who else could stop the conspiracy of the 5 races? Who else could destroy the ancestral altar? Moreover, these Grandmaster-level monsters would only be cannon fodder against the 2 monarchs. Therefore, Xiaoping couldn't die now. Even if he died, he had to drag the other 2 monarchs down with him. Otherwise, they would all be finished and die without a burial. Impossible. Originally, Rock Bao had a sinister expression on his face. He wanted to see the scene of Xiaoping's body exploding. He wanted to see the shock and fear on this human's face before his death. However, it discovered that when its fist struck Xiaoping's body, it was blocked by a thin layer of energy shield. Even if it was just a thin layer, it was like a natural chasm that he would never be able to cross in his lifetime. The originally tyrannical and unparalleled power instantly turned invisible, as if it had been completely absorbed. What are you wearing? Akbao instantly realized that this wasn't some kind of protective technique. Instead, this kid was actually wearing a special protective magic treasure. It was this magic treasure that completely dispelled its power and perfectly defended it. Even if it expended all of its strength, it still couldn't harm Xiaoping in the slightest. This is a universal protective suit. Even a fulfillment realm cultivator cannot break through its defenses. Xiaoping turned around and looked coolly at Rockstorm. This was a battle of life and death, not some kind of training. Therefore, in order to kill his opponent, he was of course fully prepared. He also wore the universal protective suit. This way he would be invincible. No matter how strong Rock Bao was, under the protection of the universal protective suit, he still couldn't harm him. Universal protective suit? This is against the rules. This is against the rules. How can such a thing exist in this world? Aren't you here for a trial? Why did you bring such a thing here? Is no one going to stop you? I don't accept this. Rock Bao was furious. Even a fulfillment realm cultivator couldn't harm this universal protective suit at all. How was he supposed to fight it? It was like a turtle shell. No one could harm him, even if he stood there. This was clearly a trial. But this bastard actually brought such a treasure in. Was he here for a trial? He was here for a field trip. He was here to steal something. This was too much. Universal protective suit? Damn this bastard human. No wonder he was so arrogant. The crow of misfortune and the other monsters' faces turned green. No wonder this guy wasn't afraid, even when facing a king realm cultivator. Wearing this suit, he was invincible, like a walking turtle. No matter how the king realm cultivators beat him, it was useless. Shameless human. Green Phoenix and Tu Linglong also clenched their teeth. They thought their treasures were good, but compared to this human, they were trash. But then, what was the point of the trial? Once he appeared, no one was his match. All the benefits were taken away by this human. This, Lu Qi Guotsuani and Li Yin were speechless. They didn't expect Xiaoping to have such a precious treasure. Only an invincible king realm cultivator could have such a treasure. Ordinary king realm cultivators weren't qualified to get it. If Wu Quan's group had known that Xiaoping had such a treasure, they probably wouldn't have abandoned him. But all of this was just a if. It had already happened. Even if they regretted it now, it was useless. Die! Xiaoping took out the treasure weapon, the Spear of Hell. Hell's aura exploded from his body. It was as if the whole sky had darkened. Ghostly wails and wolf howls came from all directions. It was as if a gate of hell was about to open in the depths of time and space. Countless evil spirits would swarm out from the gate of hell. He held the Spear of Hell tightly and stabbed it at Rockstorm. Rockstorm was too close to Xiaoping, and he was in the process of collapsing. Even if he wanted to dodge, he wouldn't be able to react at such a distance. Dong! The Spear of Hell pierced through Rockstorm's body without hesitation. Rockstorm's body had been cultivated by absorbing the essence of meteorites from outer space. Ordinary swords, and even nuclear bombs couldn't destroy this body. Rockstorm also relied on this indestructible Vajra body to be domineering. He didn't fear his own life at all. But under the Spear of Hell, Rockstorm's body was no stronger than a piece of paper. It was easily pierced through like tofu. Ah! Rockstorm screamed. His eyes were wide open. He felt that his soul had been pierced by the spear. He didn't expect to die in the hands of a human master realm cultivator. With a bang, his entire body collapsed to the ground. The fire of the soul deep in his eyes was extinguished. Without the support of the soul fire, all of the rocks on its body crumbled and fell to the ground, creating shockingly deep craters with loud booms. There's one more. Xiaoping didn't care about the dead Rockstorm. He turned around to look for the leader of the metal race. He hadn't appeared since he was punched away. What? Chapter 1028. What is this guy trying to do? Xiaoping squinted his eyes. He instinctively felt that the leader of the metal race would not do anything good at this time. But it was too late to stop it now. Oh no, it wants to sacrifice its body to activate the ancestral altar. We cannot let it succeed. Green Phoenix's expression changed. She suddenly remembered some information about the ancestral altar. If it was close to completion and someone sacrificed themselves, the ancestral altar could be completed in advance. It could even forcibly activate the connection. This was probably what the leader of the metal race was thinking. Perhaps after seeing the leaders of the four races die, it knew that if it did not sacrifice itself, it would be killed by Xiaoping. It would be better to sacrifice itself and activate the ancestral altar. Rumble. As soon as it finished speaking, the leader of the metal race melted into a pool of liquid metal. It instantly melted into the ancestral altar, making up for all the flaws on the ancestral altar. Then the entire ancestral altar was filled with energy. It emitted an endless blood-red light. Xiaoping looked over and saw that every pattern on the ancestral altar was lit up. A huge and mysterious matrix rose in the sky, covering a radius of thousands of kilometers. The matrix seemed to be connected to the depths of the universe. A map of the universe appeared. There were many stars on the map, which seemed to represent the position of each ancestral altar in the universe. At the same time, the altar seemed to be filled with the roars of countless ancient races. There were also sorcerers chanting. There were ancient, barbaric, and chaotic presences all around. This was inheritance, this was history. It seemed that the altar recorded the experiences of the 5 races, from ancient times to the present. It inherited the past, connected to the future, and communicated with the universe. This kind of inheritance would never be broken. It's over. The ancestral altar has been activated. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters were in despair. They did not expect to fail at this critical moment. The leader of the metal race had activated the ancestral altar. Once it was activated, there was no way to stop it. They could only watch as the ancestral altar was activated and connected to the 5 races in the universe. It would not be long before they attracted a large number of enemies. This was a hopeless situation. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. His mental energy spread out in all directions, and he immediately felt the world tremble. The moment the ancestral altar was activated, the world had undergone a huge change. Just as the ancestral altar was about to communicate with the universe and transmit the information from this place, the entire sky changed, and the secret plane started to tremble. Bang, bang, bang. A massive black hole appeared above the altar, and terrifying bolts of black lightning descended from the black hole, striking the altar like divine punishment. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of black lightning bolts descended, containing the power to destroy the world. At the same time, a blood-colored barrier rose up from the ancestral altar in an attempt to block it. However, it was useless. The black lightning descended and shattered the barrier into pieces. Immediately, the entire altar cracked. Shocking cracks appeared on it, as if it was about to collapse. Sure enough, the Almighty who built this secret realm had a backup plan. Corinne's voice resounded. Xiaoping's heart stirred. What does that mean? The reason is very simple. Corinne said in a deep voice. How could the Almighty who built this secret realm not know that the only way the 5 races can contact the outside world is through the ancestral altar? The other party also expected this. So, in order to prevent this, once the 5 races activate the ancestral altar, it will immediately trigger the restrictive power left in this secret realm. Even after tens of thousands of years have passed, this backup plan still hasn't disappeared. What the 5 races are doing is completely useless. Even without us, they would never have succeeded in building the ancestral altar. Wanting to contact the outside world is also wishful thinking. He was very emotional. As an almighty, which one of them was a simple character? They almost took everything into account. Since the other party dared to do such a thing, how could they not have calculated all the loopholes? After all, if this matter were to be leaked, it would be a disaster for Wanyao Mountain. So, no matter what, they would not let the 5 races have the opportunity to contact the outside world. Bang, bang, bang. Another 10,000 bolts of black lightning struck down. The ancestral altar, which was supposed to be indestructible, was now smashed into smithereens. The mysterious formation in the void had long been destroyed. All the energy was contained within this space, unable to be transmitted out. Boom! But it was not over yet. After the black lightning bolts finished descending, the black hole above the altar did not disappear. It slowly rotated unfathomably deep. At some point in time, the sky had shattered like glass. Crackling sounds rang out, and hundreds of cracks had appeared. They extended for thousands of kilometers, with no end in sight. Oh no! Corinne's complexion changed. This almighty is really too ruthless. The backup plan it left behind is not only to destroy the ancestral altar, but also to blow up the entire secret realm. What? Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of cold light. What does it mean to blow up the entire secret realm? Maybe that Almighty also expected that the 5 races could still successfully build the ancestral altar under such strict demon race supervision. Obviously, a big problem must have happened to the demon race. It may be that they have completely declined, Corinne said in a deep voice. Therefore, it also expected that Myriad Demon Mountain might not be able to balance the power of the 5 major races. Since that is the case, it would be better to destroy the entire world and thoroughly erase the traces of the 5 major races and end all troubles. What a ruthless method! Once the secret realm is destroyed, there will be no traces left. Even the 5 races will not be able to find any clues. You'd better leave quickly. Otherwise, you will be destroyed along with this secret realm. It warned Xiaoping. Xiaoping spread his hands. How do I leave? There is no exit in this world. Unless I advance to the King realm, I will be expelled by this world. He was also helpless. There was no exit before, but now there is. Do you see the black hole in the air? That is the only exit in this world. Corinne pointed at the black hole in the sky. It started the world's destruction mechanism, but it also left the only flaw. Drill into this black hole, and you can leave this world. Exit. Hearing this, Xiaoping looked up and saw that the black hole was not far from here. He was immediately overjoyed. With this exit, he didn't have to worry about dying in this secret realm. Thinking of this, he immediately called Tu Linglong and the other monsters to immediately leave this place that was about to be destroyed. Although Tu Linglong and the other monsters didn't know what was going on, they also knew that it was very dangerous now. The aura of destruction was everywhere. If they didn't escape now, they would really be finished. Chapter 1029. On a nameless deserted island in the boundless sea of the cloud world. At this moment, a black hole suddenly appeared in the sky above the nameless deserted island. The energy inside slowly rotated like chaos, extending to an unknown place. Bang bang bang. At this moment, figures immediately fell out of the black hole. It was Xiaoping and the others. They all landed on the ground of the deserted island. After they all left, it did not take long for the black hole to slowly disappear. However, a series of earth-shattering explosions came from inside, as if it contained the energy of an unknown number of tons of nuclear bombs. If such energy were to spread to the cloud world, half of the land of the cloud world would probably be destroyed. Is that secret territory really destroyed? Tu Linglong was dumbfounded. She felt waves of destruction spreading out. If Xiaoping hadn't warned them in advance, they would have escaped quickly. Perhaps she would have been affected too. If there were still people in that secret territory, they would definitely die. It must have been destroyed. This is the method of the ancient demon saint. No one can defy it. Blue Luan also felt such waves. She immediately knew that no one could do such a thing, except for the ancient demon saint. Bad human, no matter what, I thank you this time. I will return the favor this time. Tu Linglong bit her lips and looked at Xiaoping unwillingly. She had actually been saved by this shameless human so many times. Why don't you return it now? I am very interested in the bead you have. Why don't you take it out and let me have a look? Xiaoping blinked his eyes innocently. Get lost. Qing Wan and Tu Linglong both spoke in unison. This bastard human really didn't give up. He was still covetously eyeing the celestial spirit defensive ball on my body. It was too dangerous to stay with such a little thief. It was better to leave as soon as possible. If they stayed any longer, they might be robbed by this human thief. Alright, since we all came out of that secret territory, let's say goodbye. I hope we don't meet again. Blue Luan glared at Xiaoping fiercely. Her pretty face was flushed with anger. Whoosh. As soon as she finished speaking, she, Tu Linglong, the crow of misfortune, and the other monsters quickly left the deserted island. After all, this was the endless sea, not the territory of the Wanyao mountain. If they encountered enemies of the demon clan, they might be in danger. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Seeing the demons leave, The three human grandmasters shook their heads and sighed. Sigh. I didn't expect this to happen in this secret territory. This is such a loss. Not only did we not get the 5 elements spirit fruit, but a large number of human gurus died. Looks like our path to becoming kings has been severed. There's no hope for us in this lifetime. This is fate. We have to accept it. This was a treasure that was worth more than the wealth of a city. No matter how carefully they guarded it, it would never be too much. If that's the case, are you willing to accept it? Xiaoping smiled. Hearing this, the three human grandmasters were stunned. They knew that they had been tricked by this kid, but there was nothing they could do. In fact, they needed the 5 elements spirit fruits very much. All right, we won't say anything unnecessary. We will remember this favor. If there's a chance, we won't hesitate to go through water and tread on fire for it. Yes, little friend, you have given us a second chance. The three human grandmasters solemnly cupped their fists at Xiaoping. They were very grateful. You're welcome, you're welcome. Xiaoping waved his hand. Of course, he knew that the 5 elements spirit fruit was very precious. It was a spirit fruit that could help ordinary people quickly advance to the king realm. In the cloud realm, it was a treasure that couldn't be bought even with money. However, he was willing to give it to the three human grandmasters. Not to mention that they had made great contributions to humanity. He had to repay them for protecting him. Of course, if he obtained the 5 elements spirit tree, he would be able to continuously produce 5 elements spirit fruits in the future. This was an unimaginable wealth. Chapter 1030. After obtaining the 5 elements spirit fruit, Lu Qi, Guotsuani, and Li Yin left. Because they had such precious spirit fruits with them, they didn't dare to stay in this place for long. They were afraid of encountering some unknown danger. If they encountered some monster kings, they would be extremely unlucky. So, they quickly returned to their clans, intending to quickly consume the 5 elements spirit fruit and advance to the king realm. Once they advanced to the king realm, they probably wouldn't have to worry about anything. So, the three human grandmasters bid farewell to Xiaoping and quickly returned to their clans. It's time to return to the giant island. Xiaoping planned to return to the villa on the giant island, cultivate in seclusion, consume the 5 elements spirit fruit, and break through to the king realm in one go. He didn't want to continue wasting time here. Swoosh! He walked on the waves and ran quickly. He first went to a nearby human island, found a passenger ship, and then directly took it back to the giant island. Immediately, a figure appeared on the sea. It was like a cannonball, giving rise to boundless huge waves and crashing sounds. It was like a shark swimming in the sea. Suddenly, after Xiaoping had been running for a while, he sensed with his spiritual power that there seemed to be another figure walking on the waves in the distance, running towards him. He sensed that the aura of this figure was slightly familiar, so he couldn't help but stop. Xiaoping looked into the distance and saw a graceful figure appear in front of him. It was a woman. She wore white tight-fitting clothes on her upper body, showing off her impressive figure. The lower half of her body was covered in a pair of hot pants, revealing most of her fair and slender breasts. Her entire body exuded an extremely sexy aura. Without a doubt, this was a long-legged beauty, a peerless beauty that could move the hearts of countless men. Chu Rong. Xiaoping blinked and immediately realized that it was Chu Rong, who he hadn't seen for a long time. He didn't expect to see Chu Rong again at this time and place. At this moment, Chu Rong seemed to be running at full speed. Her martial arts cultivation had reached at least the 6th heaven of the martial master realm. True essence surged all over her body. Walking on the waves was an extremely simple thing for her. However, she didn't seem to see what was in front of her. She was completely focused on her cultivation. She was charging towards Xiaoping like a car that had gone out of control. Dodge it. When Chu Rong was a dozen meters away from Xiaoping, she finally discovered a figure in front of her. She was shocked. Who would have thought that there would be someone standing in front of her in the endless sea? She knew how fast she was going. It was close to the speed of a supercar. With such a short distance and such a fast speed, it was impossible for her to stop. However, at this speed, the consequences would be unimaginable. If the opponent was a weak martial artist, the collision would probably tear them to pieces. However, Xiaoping didn't move at all and just stood there. To him, even an all-out attack from a Purple Mansion realm monarch wouldn't be able to do any damage to him. The strength of a mere 6th heaven martial master was just child's play, like scratching an itch. It's over. Chu Rong's heart was burning with anxiety. She didn't think that the person in front of her was simply a madman. He actually didn't move at all. However, she had no other choice but to do her best to reduce her speed. Boom! In the end, she still collided with the figure in front of her. Suddenly, there was a shocking explosion. The surrounding waves were immediately overturned by this shocking force. And there were waves that were more than 10 meters tall. What? Chu Rong originally thought that there would definitely be a traffic accident. Maybe the other party would be smashed into a pile of meat paste, and she wouldn't be able to get away with it. She might even be seriously injured. However, when she really collided with it, she found that her body felt as if it had collided with a ball of cotton. All the force was absorbed and then expelled from the surroundings. Then, her body was surrounded by a gentle force, and she was unharmed. Thank you. Suddenly, Chu Rong knew that this person must be an unimaginable expert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to dissipate the force of her collision so easily. She immediately rejoiced that she didn't cause any huge casualties. However, she didn't have time to rejoice for long. She immediately heard an extremely hateful voice. Thank you. If it's useful, why do we need the police? Do you know that it's a serious offense to run amok in the endless sea all day long? If I didn't have some skills, I would have been killed by you. This voice was very hateful, and he still tried to blackmail Chu Rong. In short, this matter can't be solved without tens of billions of federal coins. You can do it yourself. Extortion, this is clearly extortion. And it's blatant extortion. Hearing this, Chu Rong was so angry that smoke came out of her 7 orifices, and her lungs were about to explode. What bullshit traffic rules? We're already on the sea. Isn't that where I can go however I want? He actually said that this is a traffic accident, and it can't be solved without tens of billions of federal coins. If this isn't extortion, what is it? How can there be such a shameless person in the world? She wanted to thank the senior master before, but she didn't expect that he was simply a shameless bastard. He didn't even let go of the money of a small martial artist like her, and he even wanted to extort tens of billions of dollars. When Chu Rong wanted to raise her head and spit on this shameless senior master's face, she was stunned because the bastard in front of her was actually someone she knew. Xiaoping! Chu Rong couldn't help but shout. She didn't expect to meet Xiaoping at this time and place. It was such a coincidence that she was stunned for a moment. What, Xiaoping? Don't think that you don't need to pay money just because you're familiar with me. Xiaoping looked at Chu Rong fiercely, looking at her like a bully. Bah, pervert. Chu Rong was so angry that her pretty face turned red. She was so angry that she bit down on Xiaoping's hand. But suddenly, she felt as if she had bitten on cowhide, which was extremely tough. No matter how hard she bit, she couldn't leave a bite mark, which made her even angrier. Damn it, why can't I bite it? Chu Rong's beautiful eyes widened. Xiaoping bared his teeth and said, deliberately injuring others is an additional crime. This time, it seems that this problem can't be solved without marrying me. Who will marry you? Don't even dream about it. Chu Rong's pretty face turned red in an instant, and her beautiful eyes were watery. She still glared at this pervert fiercely. Crash! Chapter 1031. Oh no, let's run. Chu Rong's expression changed when she saw the 2 or 3 pirate ships approaching. What's wrong? Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat as he asked. Did you provoke these pirates? Chu Rong nodded. Yes, this group of pirates was on an island. They burned, killed, and plundered. They killed a large number of humans. Even children were not spared. Their methods were extremely cruel. So I took action and destroyed this group of pirates. I didn't expect that this group of pirates was only a small team, and they were the trusted subordinates of the pirate boss. As a result, I poked a hornet's nest. She originally had a ship and could sail in the boundless sea, But she was chased by this group of pirates. With a single cannon shot, all her ships were blown up into ashes. She had no choice but to run in the sea, treading on the waves to avoid the pursuit of the group of pirates. I see a group of little thieves. Xia Ping nodded, expressing his understanding. Chu Rong suddenly became anxious. This is not as simple as little thieves, but the famous Red Skull pirates of the Boundless Sea. The captain is the son of the Swordfish King Saber 9. Relying on the name of the Swordfish King, it ran amok in the Boundless Sea. It recruited countless vicious masters, and became a huge force in the Boundless Sea. Even Saber 9 himself is a great master at the peak of the Grandmaster realm. He is only one step away from entering the King realm. Moreover, he is also favored by the Swordfish King. Even the human army does not dare to attack him easily, lest they offend the Swordfish King and provoke a terrible disaster. She felt that the situation was very serious. She did not expect that killing a group of small pirates would provoke a group of big pirates. And it was the famous Red Skull pirates. The other party's great reputation made her almost breathless. However, even if this happened again, she would not hesitate to kill this group of evil pirates. They have some skills, but even if they want to escape now, it's impossible. Xia Ping nodded as he looked around. What? Chu Rong looked around. But while they were talking, countless merfolk pirates immediately jumped down from the 3 pirate ships. There were hundreds and thousands of them, and they surrounded them. Immediately her heart tightened. She felt that she was besieged on all sides. Even if she wanted to escape, it was impossible. Among the pirates, the weakest was at the Martial Master realm, and there were many experts at the peak of the Grand Master realm. Under such an encirclement, a mere Martial Master would be dreaming if he wanted to escape. What made her even more nervous was that a huge 5-meter-tall, muscular, pointy head, like a sharp sword, full of oppression appeared in front of her. Chu Rong had seen the appearance of this Murloc pirate from the wanted poster. This Murloc was undoubtedly Saber 9, the leader of the Red Skull pirates with a bounty of 30 billion federal coins. Even the leader had been mobilized. It was as if they had turned out in full force. There was no way she could escape. Little girl, run. Why aren't you running anymore? You were pretty fast just now. Even though the ship was destroyed, you were still running as if you were flying. It's really rare to see a human girl like you. Saber 9 looked at Chu Rong with a ferocious expression and a mocking look on his face. If I capture you and sell you to those underwater aristocrats, I'm sure I can get a huge price. For the underwater races, having a human slave of excellent quality was undoubtedly a great honor. Young and beautiful human women in particular were in high demand. Just one of them could be auctioned for a huge price. Therefore, this group of pirates often burned, killed, and pillaged the boundless ocean. They did many things like human traffickers, and countless human women had been captured and sold by them. Chu Rong's beautiful eyes showed a trace of anger. She simply hated this group of evil pirates to the extreme. It was precisely because of their appearance that caused countless human families to be destroyed, and the white-haired people had to send their black-haired children away. She had been cultivating in the boundless ocean and traveling everywhere, but had never returned to a safe place, because she wanted to uphold justice and protect those weak humans. TSK, you're actually angry. You're really good. A human slave with a sense of resistance like this can be auctioned for a higher price. Those underwater aristocrats are no longer interested in tamed human slaves. Only fresh goods like this will attract big clients to come and buy them. This is the price you have to pay for killing so many of our brothers. Go ahead and be angry. The angrier you are, the happier we'll be. The group of Murloc pirates cackled. They looked at Chu Rong, as if they were looking at a turtle in a jar. No matter how hard she struggled, she could not escape from their palms. What are you shouting for? You're so noisy. Xia Ping looked at the group of Murloc pirates calmly. You're out of luck to run into me. Tell me, how do you Murloc pirates want to die? Do you want to be dismembered or fried? His gaze was very calm. He looked at the Murloc pirates as if he was looking at ants. There's a human man by her side? Saber 9 smiled ferociously. Is he this human woman's husband? This is also a good selling point. Many perverted underwater aristocrats like human sex the most, and they like to do it in front of their husbands. Just as well, we can capture him together. We might be able to auction him for a higher price. Haha, today is indeed the Red Skull Pirates' lucky day. We've actually found such precious goods. Go capture them. Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the 2 or 3 Murloc Grandmasters beside Saber 9 had ferocious expressions on their faces. Their figures flickered like lightning, and they arrived in front of Xia Ping and Chu Rong in an instant. They circulated their powerful righteous qi and separated into 3 areas to surround them, sealing off all of their escape routes. They threw a punch, intending to severely injure Xia Ping and Chu Rong in an instant. Only severely injured prey would not resist fiercely. Anyway, they would quickly heal these 2 humans afterward, and then auction them off. Therefore, it was harmless to slightly injure these 2 prey now. Bang! Xia Ping did not even look at them. 2 or 3 shockingly sharp sword qi instantly erupted from the countless battle blades on his body. With lightning speed, they struck the 3 Murloc Grandmasters viciously. With a splutter, blood splattered onto the surface of the sea. The 3 Murloc Grandmasters let out shrill screams, and a hint of shock appeared in their eyes, as if they did not know what was going on. This was because the speed of the sword qi was just too fast, and it had exceeded the range of their vision. The surrounding Murloc pirates were stunned because they saw that the 3 Murloc Grandmasters had not even gotten close to Xia Ping and Chu Rong, when their bodies instantly split open from the middle. From head to toe they were split in half. Chapter 1032. Chu Rong's beautiful eyes widened instantly. She looked at Xia Ping next to her in disbelief. She was considered close to Xia Ping, but she could not see what exactly he had done. In the blink of an eye, the 3 Murloc Grandmasters had been killed. They could not even escape. Chu Rong, who had elevated to martial master level, was no longer the rookie she had been. The higher her cultivation base was, the more she could sense how terrifying a Grandmaster was. They were invincible powerhouses below the level of a king. Even 100 martial masters would not be a match for a Grandmaster. However, Xia Ping had killed 3 Murloc Grandmasters in an instant. One could imagine his current combat ability. Although Chu Rong had more or less heard of Xia Ping's deeds, and knew that he had elevated to Grandmaster level long ago, she did not expect him to be able to kill Murloc Grandmasters in seconds. What happened? 3 Grandmasters were killed in the blink of an eye. This is ridiculous. What exactly did this human do? Many Murloc pirates looked at each other. Although they had lived for a long time, and had seen countless powerhouses fighting, they had never seen something like this. The 3 Murloc Grandmasters had died before they could even get close to this human. Moreover, they had died in such a dubious manner. It was too frustrating. However, they immediately knew that this was no ordinary human. They had encountered a tough opponent. The pirate captain Saber 9 stared at Xia Ping. Human, what strange tricks did you use? You actually managed to kill 3 of my subordinates. Confess immediately. Otherwise, if I capture you later, you'll wish you were dead. There was a ferocious look in his eyes. You're too noisy. Xia Ping did not even look at him. He threw a punch, shook his fist, and exploded. Boom! The next second, a solid flaming fist was thrown. It seemed to be able to shake the void. The sea within 5 to 6 kilometers trembled, and the sea churned. At the same time, flames surged and filled the sky. The temperature immediately rose by thousands of degrees, as if it was about to evaporate all the seawater in the area. Oh no! The pirate captain's face turned pale. He sensed that he could not take the punch at all. The punch sealed the sky and locked the earth, sealing off all his escape routes. It sensed that it was not fighting against humans, but against the power of heaven and earth. It was like a towering volcano crashing down from the sky. It was impossible to match. Now, it finally understood why the 3 great Murloc Grandmasters couldn't resist at all. How could mortals resist such power? He'd already stepped into the realm of the King Realm. Even though it was a cultivator at Grandmaster peak, it was as fragile as a baby in front of such power. Wait, I'm the son of the Swordfish King. Let's talk this out. Saber 9 started yelling maniacally, trying to beg for mercy. He mentioned his father's identity, hoping that Xiaoping would spare his life. So what if he's the son of the Swordfish King? Even if the Swordfish King is here, he'll still die. Xiaoping sneered. Begging for mercy at this moment was simply wishful thinking, based on the amount of evil it had done over the years on the boundless sea, and how many humans it had killed. It deserved to die 10,000 times. Even if the Swordfish King came here, he wouldn't be able to save it. Dong! Before Saber 9 could even scream, he took the blow head-on. It was as if he had been hit by the god of fire. His entire body turned into a huge torch burning fiercely. Then, the power of the flames exploded, and Saber 9's body was blown into pieces, scattered all over the sea. Fresh blood dripped and dyed the sea red. He's dead. Chu Rong's beautiful eyes widened. She did not know what to think. After all, this was the captain of the Red Skull Pirates, the son of the Swordfish King, a great pirate who had roamed the boundless sea for decades, with a bounty of 30 billion federal credits. Countless humans wanted to kill such a great pirate, but after decades, he was still very much alive and kicking. Instead, those who wanted to kill him were all buried in the sea. Now, however, without any warning, he had died in the boundless sea. It was too unbelievable. Oh my god, the captain is dead. Damn it, this damned human actually dared to kill the captain? This is the Swordfish King's son. He killed the captain. Is he trying to pierce the heavens? It's over, it's over. When the Swordfish King is enraged, the entire boundless sea will be turned upside down. Everyone involved will die. Bastard human, you've really caused our deaths. Go kill this human and avenge our captain. At the same time we can lessen our guilt. Many of the merfolk pirates yelled, extremely panicked. They could not imagine how furious the Swordfish King would be if he found out about this. They reckoned that he would even have the heart to slaughter all the humans on the island. Even their subordinates would not be able to escape. They would all be buried with the captain. Whoosh! 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 2,000 to 3,000 merfolk pirates jumped off the ship at once. Like an army, they surrounded Xiaoping and Chu Rong from all four directions. Some of them were holding large swords, some were holding sickles, some were holding long spears, and some were holding giant axes. All of them were murderous, as if they had an irreconcilable hatred for Xiaoping. Their eyes were bloodshot. Chu Rong could feel the murderous intent surging from these merfolk pirates. It was almost tangible. If Xiaoping had not been there to defend them, this murderous intent alone would have been enough to crush a martial master. You want to avenge the captain? Go to hell with your captain. For these villains who were full of evil, and whose hands were full of human blood, Xiaoping had no intention of showing mercy. With a move of his mind, the countless swords in his hands trembled. Clang! Immediately, there was a crisp sound in the air. In an instant, there were hundreds of thousands of swords, thrusting out from Xiaoping's body. At this time, there was only a dazzling cold light left in the whole sky. It seemed that even the sun in the sky had lost its color, and began to dim. Chu Rong also felt that the time between heaven and earth seemed to have stopped. With a snap, Xiaoping put away these swords, stood with his hands behind his back, and looked at these merfolk pirates indifferently. Bang! Bang! These merfolk pirates' necks, hearts, and other vital parts immediately exposed a lot of blood, like a fountain spraying in the air. Their heads and necks were separated in this way, and the cut was extremely smooth. The corpses of these merfolk pirates fell into the sea like dumplings. Boom! Even the 3 huge pirate ships in the distance were cut by the sword light. They split from the middle, and were directly divided into 2 halves. The pirate flags on them also fell. My god, they're all dead. Chapter 1033. Have you advanced to the King Realm? Chu Rong looked at Xiaoping. Only the King Realm could kill a grandmaster so easily. Apart from that, there was no other possibility. After all, this was a famous pirate. Countless human grandmasters had joined forces to kill them, but they couldn't kill them. If Xiaoping was not the King Realm now, how could he destroy this group of Murloc pirates in an instant? Not yet, but soon, Xiaoping said. Chu Rong was speechless and didn't know what to say. She only knew that Xiaoping didn't deny it. Even if he hadn't advanced to the king realm now, he was not far from it. She felt a burst of suffocation. He was obviously the same age as her. But was he about to advance to the king realm? If he succeeded, he might be the youngest king realm in the history of Yinhuang planet. This was a major event that could shake the entire cloud realm. It was more shocking than Qiuxiu and Su Mei's advancement to the king realm. Not to mention that this bad guy himself was a troublemaker. Who knew how many people he had offended? Don't talk about this. The 3 pirate ships seem to be sinking. I have to search them quickly. Are there any treasures? Xiaoping's figure flickered. He immediately went to the 3 pirate ships and scanned them with his spiritual force. He treated them as his own home and constantly searched for treasures. If he saw anything valuable, he put it into his space ring. The golden slime also jumped out and took advantage of this opportunity to devour the steel of the 3 ships. The speed of devouring was extremely fast. After half an hour, he had looted all the treasures on the 3 pirate ships. At this time, the 3 pirate ships slowly sank into the sea. At this moment, the golden slime also swallowed the steel of the 3 ships, but it still looked very dissatisfied. It didn't even reach 10% full. For the golden slime who had eaten mica steel, these ordinary steel could only be regarded as a snack, but it was better than nothing. By the way, the sacred artifact fragment doesn't seem to have any special effect on me. It's better to give it to the golden slime. Xiaoping suddenly remembered the mysterious fragment he traded with Cyan Luan. He took it out and threw it to the golden slime. Sensing the power of this sacred artifact fragment, the golden slime's eyes lit up. As an instinct of blood, it could perceive that this fragment was of great benefit to it. With a slap, it immediately opened its mouth and swallowed the entire holy artifact fragment. Immediately, the golden slime seemed to have indigestion as it rolled around on the ground. What's wrong? Xiaoping blinked and asked Corinne. Corinne stroked his grizzled beard and said, "It's nothing, it's just that I can't digest it for the time being. After all, this is a holy artifact fragment. Relying on a newborn golden slime, it will be a little difficult to digest it instantly." But as the golden slimes slowly grow, their digestive abilities will also greatly increase. Once it completely digests this artifact fragment, its power will become extremely terrifying without a doubt. The countless blades it condenses will possess a sliver of the power of a saint artifact. What? Hearing this, Xiaoping immediately became very expectant. A trace of the power of a sacred tool sounded very amazing. It was worth it for him to take out 2 portions of the 5 elements spirit fruit to exchange with the Cyan Luan. With a swish, he immediately tossed the golden slime into his space ring. He let it rest for now, allowing it to slowly digest the artifact fragment in his space ring. Then, he took stock of his harvest this time. TSK. As expected of a pirate, they are really rich. Xiaoping was very satisfied. This time, he got a lot of materials, as well as gold, silver, and jewelry from these 3 pirate ships. A rough calculation shows that there are at least more than 100 billion federal coins. Although it is not a particularly large number for him now, it can be regarded as a small harvest, which can make up for some of his financial expenses. If he can kill a few more pirate fleets, he may be able to make a lot of money. What did you find on it? Seeing Xiaoping coming out of the pirate ship, Chu Rong asked curiously. Xiaoping looked at Chu Rong with a smile and said, "You want to know? When I become a woman, I will tell you." Who wants to be your woman, you shameless bastard?" Chu Rong's fair and tender face turned red in an instant. She subconsciously kicked Xiaoping with her legs. Bang! Xiaoping shot out and blocked it at once. He grabbed her whole leg and pulled it into his arms. "Rogue, let me go." Chu Rong felt that her face was burning, as if it was about to be cooked. "Don't talk nonsense, hurry up. Let's go to the nearby human island first. You are too slow alone." Xiaoping was very overbearing. He forcibly picked up Chu Rong's whole body. He turned on rampage mode and ran wildly on the sea, like a supersonic plane. At the same time, the aura on his body enveloped himself in Chu Rong, isolating all the surrounding seawater. Otherwise, the whole person would become a drowned chicken. In a few breaths, the two of them disappeared, leaving only a white line in place, and terrifying waves were set off on the sea. At this moment, sensing that Xia Ping and Chu Rong had left, some sirens hiding in the deep sea dared to sneak out. They are all spies of the Red Skull pirates. They are not combat troops, but soldiers responsible for exploring danger, so they have always been on the sea and not on the ship. Unexpectedly, they barely escaped the disaster because of this and were not killed by Xia Ping. What should we do? Now the captain was killed by this human. That's the Swordfish King's son. This human is really audacious, killing him just like that. He's too savage. But this human's ability is quite terrifying. The captain was killed in one blow. Could he be a king? Many of the sirens were extremely terrified. They were all trembling with fear when they saw the scene just now. The elite troops that they could not hope to catch up to had been killed by this human in an instant. How terrifying was his combat strength? It was simply unimaginable. If they had been at the scene just now, they probably would not have been able to escape death. Even if he's a king, it has nothing to do with us, an old siren said in a low voice. An old sea demon said in a low voice. In short, if we want to survive in the endless sea, we must tell this to the Swordfish King. That's right. If we don't report this and the Swordfish King finds out, we're dead meat. If we report this honestly, the Swordfish King might even reward us. That's right. Let's quickly report to the Swordfish King and tell him about the captain's death. Many of the sirens nodded. They immediately moved to report this news to the Swordfish King, because Saber Nine's death could not be concealed. If they reported it first, they might be rewarded greatly. However, if they did not report it, they would be dead meat. Chapter 1034. In the Endless Sea, on a huge cruise ship, many children were happily chasing each other on the deck, while the adults were leisurely enjoying the rare journey on the sea. They were eating delicious snacks and drinking good wine. It was as if they were singing and dancing to celebrate peace. Boom! At that moment, a dark cloud covered the sky and the sun. The sea surged and countless fishmen appeared. They jumped out from the depths of the sea and climbed onto the cruise ship in an instant. Aha! No, no, no! Help! Help! Spare us! Spare us! My son is only 3 years old. He can't die now. He can't die. Immediately, the entire cruise ship let out miserable screams. Countless humans tried to escape and beg for mercy. However, these fishmen were cruel and merciless. They didn't even spare the women and children. They were ruthless and merciless. One by one they killed all of them. Even their heads were chopped off. Even though some guards wanted to resist, they couldn't do anything in the face of these merciless fishmen. After 10 minutes, the thousands of humans on the cruise ship were all dead. The surrounding air was filled with a thick stench of blood. If someone were to stand here, they would definitely vomit from the stench. Dong! At that moment, a 10-meter-tall, sharp-edged, gigantic murloc clad in golden armor and carrying a long sword on his back descended from the air and landed on the cruise ship. King! Many merpeople prostrated themselves on the ground, respectfully greeting it. This fishman was the king of the sea, the Swordfish King. Well done! The Swordfish King suddenly opened its mouth. Like a whale swallowing, it produced a terrifying suction force. The blood that was originally flowing on the cruise ship and stored in the corpses seemed to be attracted. Whoosh! Immediately, the human blood turned into mist and flew in all directions. They all entered the Swordfish King's mouth, and then into its stomach. The human corpses started to dry up at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, they turned into dried corpses like mummies. No one knew how long they had been dead. Meanwhile, the Swordfish King's body emitted a blood-red glow. It seemed that the blood-red energy could nourish its body, making its cultivation more powerful and improving. Weak. These humans are too weak. They only have so little blood essence. How can they satisfy my appetite? I really want to slaughter an entire human island. The Swordfish King's eyes flashed with a cruel glint. It was able to advance to king level because it obtained a demonic technique when it was weak. It could devour the flesh and blood of living creatures to strengthen itself. Through such a cultivation method, it improved at lightning speed. However, it also left behind hidden dangers. The higher the realm it cultivated to, the more lives it needed to devour, and it became more bloodthirsty, savage, and irrational. From time to time, it would leave the underwater world to devour humans. However, it still had misgivings about the existence of a human king, so it had never dared to attack a human city. It could only forcefully endure and attack a human cruise ship from time to time, burning, killing, and pillaging. "Where's my son, Saber 9? When is he coming back?" the Swordfish King asked in a low, muffled voice. It was looking forward to its son's return, because it was the reason why its son had become a pirate. It hoped that Saber 9 would attack human villages and capture countless humans to serve as its food. Over the decades, it had lost count of how many humans its son, Saber 9, had devoured to satisfy its growing appetite. "Your Majesty, the prince is out on a mission to attack a small human island. He might be back soon," a Murloc guard replied. "Report." At that moment, a group of Murloc scouts returned swiftly and arrived beside the Swordfish King. "What happened? Aren't you Saber 9's subordinates? Why are you in such a sorry state?" A cold gleam flashed in the Swordfish King's eyes. As a king, it could sense that these scouts had a different aura. "Your Majesty, Prince Saber 9 has been killed by humans. Even the elites of the 3 pirate ships were slaughtered. Not a single one was spared," the Murloc scout shouted. The Fishman scout shouted, "We only managed to escape back here after risking our lives to avoid that human god of death, and bring back this news for our king." "What? You must be joking. Prince Saber 9 is dead? That's impossible. Prince Saber 9 is a peak Grandmaster powerhouse. Who in the boundless sea could kill him? Only a king could kill him." "That's right. If it was a king, why would he dare to break the agreement between humans and the ocean tribe? Does he have a death wish?" All the Murlocs present turned pale with fright when they heard this. They would never have thought that they would hear about Prince Saber 9's death at this time. It was too shocking. They could not believe how furious the Swordfish King would be when he found out. As expected, the Swordfish King's eyes turned bloodshot after hearing the news. They were filled with terrifying rage, and seethed with murderous intent. "How dare they? How dare they? Damn humans! I didn't go looking for trouble with you. But you dare to come looking for trouble with me? Do these humans have a death wish?" Thud! It slammed its palm on the cruise ship. The terrifying palm force permeated every corner of the ship. The entire cruise ship was instantly shattered into pieces, falling into the sea. The palm force even swept across the sea and set off boundless waves, demonstrating the fury of a king. "Where exactly is that human now?" The Swordfish King's expression was extremely grim. Saber 9 was its most beloved son, and was known as the future Demon King. There was a high chance that he would elevate to king level. Even its food was prepared by Saber 9. If Saber 9 died, and the entire pirate fleet was destroyed, who would be responsible for its food in the future? No matter what, the Swordfish King was enraged by Saber 9's death. "My king, our scout is following that human. According to the direction he's heading, he's most likely headed for Raven Spirit Island, a human island nearby," the Murloc scout said, trembling with fear. The Fishman scout trembled as he spoke. He was afraid that the enraged Swordfish King would smash him into pieces with a single slap, and vent his anger on him. "Send troops to Raven Spirit Island immediately. Ask them to hand over the human who's the culprit. If they dare to refuse, we'll wipe out the entire island and kill every last one of them." The Swordfish King roared furiously. Its eyes were bloodshot and gleamed with a bloodthirsty gleam. It was going crazy today. Even if it meant offending a human king, it was going to go on a killing spree and slaughter all the humans on the island. Otherwise, what would happen to the Swordfish King's reputation? Anyone could kill the Swordfish King's son. If the Swordfish King did not kill the chicken to scare the monkeys, no one would take the Swordfish King seriously. "Yes, my king." Many Murlocs shouted and obeyed the Swordfish King's orders. Chapter 1035. Raven Spirit Island. Half a day later, Xia Ping and Chu Rong finally arrived at a huge human island nearby. This island was very prosperous. There were hundreds of cities built on it, and it could accommodate 40 million people. Countless spaceships would enter and leave this place, constantly trading and bustling with activity. You're crazy. After finally arriving at Raven Spirit Island, Chu Rong couldn't help but want to bite Xia Ping. This bastard didn't care if she couldn't take it or not. He carried her and ran on the sea at supersonic speed. It was like riding in a super sports car at full speed. If it wasn't for her martial master level physique, she would have been swayed to the point of dizziness. Don't be angry. If it wasn't for me carrying you, you wouldn't even know how many days we would have to drift on the sea. You should be grateful to me, Xia Ping said. Grateful my ass. Chu Rong glared at this shameless man. But she had to admit that the reason they could reach Raven Spirit Island so quickly was all because of Xia Ping's strength. If it wasn't for Xia Ping's freakish speed, they would have to drift on the sea for a few more days. But thinking back to his previous speed, she couldn't help but be amazed. Xia Ping's speed had reached a frightening level. If it wasn't for the fact that Xia Ping was sure he was still in the martial master realm, she would have thought he had become a king. This kind of speed wasn't something a human could reach. Anyway, let's find a place to rest first. Tomorrow morning, we'll take a spaceship back to Giant Island. Xia Ping announced his plans. Who's going with you? I still have to continue my trial. Chu Rong wanted to kick him. He didn't even ask for her opinion before deciding on his own schedule. Too overbearing. Not going back to Giant Island? Right now Jiang Yaru is also on Giant Island, living in my villa. Xia Ping looked at Chu Rong. Yaru is also on Giant Island. Hearing this, Chu Rong was shocked. She didn't expect Jiang Yaru to also be in this bastard's house. The problem was Jiang Yaru also in the trial? Why was he living in this bastard's house? Could it be that Isao was so thirsty that she couldn't wait to become one with this shameless man? She was afraid that he would run away, so she wanted to get close to him first? Shameless woman. Chu Rong gnashed her teeth, and she gnashed her teeth with hatred. Earlier, she'd clearly sworn that there was only the martial Tao in her heart and nothing else, and she'd ceaselessly strive towards the king realm, while taking Senior Qiuxiu and Senior Su Mei as role models. But what was going on now? She had accidentally climbed into a man's bed, and was reluctant to come out. Was this still the companion who said that he only had martial arts in his heart, and that he would fight together with him? Her heart was filled with a sense of betrayal. She wanted nothing more than to grab Jiang Yaru and interrogate him. Chu Rong carefully thought about it, and immediately made a decision. She clenched her teeth and said, "All right, I haven't seen Yaru for a long time. Maybe I can go to the Giant Island to see her." This time it wasn't just a meeting, it was practically an interrogation. She wanted to ask this shameless woman, Jiang Yaru, whether she wanted a man or martial arts. Then let's find a hotel to stay in for the time being. Xia Ping nodded. Soon, they found a nearby hotel, which was the best 5-star hotel on the island. It covered an area of more than 10,000 acres, and was frequented by all sorts of rich and powerful people. Staying there for a night would cost tens of thousands of federal coins. Of course, this amount of money was only a drop in the ocean for Xia Ping. Chu Rong. Just as Xia Ping and Chu Rong arrived at the entrance of the hotel, a surprised voice came from afar. The two of them turned around, and immediately saw a young man in a black suit walking towards them. Beside him were a dozen or so tall and burly bodyguards wearing sunglasses and armed to the teeth. There was also an old man in a tang suit. The group of people walked over in a grandiose manner. Their aura was oppressive, and they immediately became the focus of the crowd. After all, it was rare to see a young man like this on the Crow Spirit Island. You are? Chu Rong frowned, and looked at the young man with a puzzled expression. She didn't seem to recognize him. The young man in the black suit was immediately stunned. He said, "I'm Zhang Dong. Didn't we meet at the Cold Moon Palace's headquarters? And we even had a pleasant conversation." He had suffered a huge blow. To be honest, he believed that he was extremely charming and hard to forget. Moreover, with his identity and status, who wouldn't want to go up and curry favor with him? But this woman actually didn't recognize him. Her face was filled with confusion. Zhang Dong. Chu Rong seemed to remember. She and Jiang Yaru left Yanhuang University together, and followed her master to the Cold Moon Palace's headquarters. At that time, the Cold Moon Palace was hosting a banquet with her own organization. Many big families and organizations attended, including Zhang Dong. At that time, she chatted with Zhang Dong out of politeness. She found out that this young man came from a king family and was the direct heir of the Zhang family. He was of noble birth, but they only chatted for a while. After that, she went out for her training and never saw him again. I remember. We met at the banquet last time. You are the young master of the Zhang family. Chu Rong nodded. Yes. That's right. I am the Zhang Dong from that time. Zhang Dong was instantly overjoyed. This woman finally remembered him. It wasn't easy. But who is this? Suddenly, Zhang Dong noticed Xia Ping, who was standing beside Chu Rong. Instantly, a trace of extreme jealousy arose in his heart. Where did this gigolo come from? How could he stand beside a goddess like her? How shameless could he be? Could he be one of the servants who specialized in carrying luggage? Zhang Dong thought to himself. He viciously guessed. Oh, I am her man. Without waiting for Chu Rong to speak, Xia Ping hugged Chu Rong's slender waist and generously introduced himself. What? Hearing this, Zhang Dong felt as if he had been struck by lightning. It was as if he had been struck by lightning from the sky. His soul almost shattered. He couldn't accept this reality at all. He hadn't even confessed, and the goddess already had a man by her side. How could this be? Didn't they say that all the women in the Cold Moon Palace were pure and clean? Why did she fall into the embrace of a gigolo so quickly? And no matter how he looked at it, he was more handsome and had more money. Why would she like this gigolo? Was this woman blind? He couldn't accept it. Chapter 1036. Seeing Chu Rong's little trick, Zhang Dong was so jealous that his intestines turned green. These two hateful adulterers were doing such a shameless thing in public. Did they know what etiquette and shame were? However, he was still very unconvinced. Why did all the good things get fucked? What was so good about this gigolo? Could it be that he was better than the young master of the Zhang family, a standard tall, rich, and handsome man? Presumably, this pretty boy must have used some dirty trick to deceive Chu Rong and win the heart of this great beauty. If he could see through his little trick, he would definitely make Chu Rong abandon this poor boy and return to the true path of Tao. Thinking of this, Zhang Dong immediately asked, I see. What's your name? Xia Ping. Xia Ping smiled slightly. Xia Ping? This name is very familiar. I seem to have heard it from somewhere. Zhang Dong was a little puzzled. He instinctively felt that he had heard this name somewhere before. It's normal to have heard of it. After all, this name is very common. It's not strange to have someone with the same name, Xia Ping said. Zhang Dong nodded. This was indeed the case. He immediately ignored these things and continued to ask. Looking at you, brother Xia. I guess you come from a rich family. I don't know which family you are from. Maybe we are even family friends. He quietly inquired about Xia Ping's background. I'm not from a big family. I'm just an ordinary person from planet Yanhuang. Xia Ping looked humble. From planet Yanhuang. Hearing this, Zhang Dong suddenly became a little arrogant. It turned out that he was a country bumpkin from planet Yanhuang. In this case, he must not be a big shot. It was said that there were only a few kings on planet Yanhuang. They were all from small families. Compared to the Zhang family, they were simply scum. His own identity was miles ahead of this kid. To tell you the truth, I am a direct descendant of the Zhang family. Zhang Dong began to show off. Although it's not a super family, it still has a king. It can barely be considered a king family. It's not very powerful. And it has a few private islands in the endless sea. In the federal government, I can be considered as someone who has a say. Now that we know each other, if you need any help in the future, feel free to come to me. I don't think there will be many things I can't help you with. He patted his chest and revealed a look of superiority, as if he had a powerful background. Chu Rong was speechless. If Zhang Dong knew that the man in front of him was a grandmaster, he would be a very important person in the giant company. The power he held in his hands was many times greater than that of the Zhang clan. It was even to the extent that this bastard seemed to be on the verge of advancing into the king realm, and his authority would simply be monstrous once he became a king. If he really needed the Zhang family's help, the Zhang family wouldn't be able to handle it. Zhang Dong would be scared to death. Thank you so much. If I have any trouble in the future, I will definitely go to the Zhang family for help. I hope young Master Zhang won't decline at that time. Xia Ping said with a smile. You're too kind. Deep down, Zhang Dong despised such a country bumpkin. Wait till you ask me for help a few times, then you'll know who's better. At that time, Chu Rong will naturally compare and know who's the real outstanding man. At that time, you can just wait to be abandoned. By the way, have you booked a room in this hotel? I'm very familiar with the boss here. Maybe I can give you a 20% discount. Zhang Dong didn't miss the opportunity to show off his vast network. No need. I've just booked a presidential suite in this hotel online. I'll be checking in later. Xia Ping waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need to trouble Zhang Dong. Presidential suite. Hearing this, Zhang Dong's eyebrows twitched a few times. One had to know that this was a 5-star hotel. An ordinary suite for a night would cost 10,000 federal coins, and a slightly better suite would cost 50,000 federal coins. And a presidential suite would cost more than 100,000 federal coins. It was frighteningly expensive. It could be said that Zhang Dong couldn't bear to stay in a presidential suite. He felt that it was purely a scam. After all, even if he was the direct descendant of a king realm family, the Zhang clan had many descendants. There weren't many resources allocated to each of them. Moreover, practicing martial arts required a large amount of money to buy pills, weapons, secret manuals, and so on. Therefore, spending more than 100,000 federal coins just to stay in a so-called presidential suite was too extravagant. It seems that Brother Xia is very rich, Zhang Dong said with a fake smile. He felt that he had underestimated this kid. If this bastard didn't have any good points, perhaps Chu Rong wouldn't have taken a liking to him. Well said, I don't have any good points. I'm just rich, Xia Ping said with a simple and honest face. Damn, why is this bastard's word so annoying? Zhang Dong wanted to punch this bastard in the face. This bastard was obviously a nouveau riche, showing off his wealth everywhere. Zhang Dong said, Brother Xia, you don't look that old. You should still be in university. How could you have so much money? Could it be that your parents gave it to you? He speculated maliciously that this guy might be a prodigal, a bastard who specialized in squandering his family's wealth. No. I'm also from an ordinary family. It's just that when I was in university, I accidentally earned a small fortune. That's why I became rich overnight. I can't even finish spending it, Xia Ping said with a sigh. A small fortune. Chu Rong had a strange expression on her face. She knew about Xia Ping's deeds. It was obvious that he extorted money from the monster kings of Wanyao Mountain. Moreover, the endless sea shark monster king was also killed by him. Some people on the internet said that Xia Ping was the biggest robber of this century. It seemed like he had left his name in history. It was said that the Ministry of Education planned to write this incident into history textbooks. This bastard was so lucky. Zhang Dong gritted his teeth. Damn, why didn't he have the luck to earn a small fortune? He didn't doubt Xia Ping's words. After all, such things happened occasionally in the Cloud Realm. Someone accidentally found a sunken ship with gold and silver on it. As a result, he became rich overnight. Someone also found an ancient ruin and handed it over to the country. In the end, he also received a huge reward. Such fortuitous encounters happened many times in the Cloud Realm, so it wasn't surprising. Brother Xia is really lucky. Zhang Dong laughed. Xia Ping waved his hand. No. My biggest luck is finding a good wife. Money is just a worldly possession. It's not worth mentioning. He hugged Chu Rong's slender waist. Damn, this bastard is still showing off his love here. He's always flirting with girls. Zhang Dong finally understood how this guy managed to win Chu Rong's heart. His glib tongue had reached a certain level. No, if he continued to stay here, he was afraid that he would die from anger. The corner of Zhang Dong's mouth twitched. He immediately said goodbye. Brother Xia, I just remembered that I have something to do. I won't stay here for long. Let's meet again later. Chapter 1037. In a suite of the Brilliance Hotel, Zhang Dong and his entourage came to the suite and stayed there temporarily. I'm so angry. However, Zhang Dong was now full of anger. He gritted his teeth and said, "What's so good about Xiaping? How could Chu Rong fall for such a nouveau riche? It's like a toad lusting after a swan's flesh." He was very unconvinced. "Young master, it's not impossible to separate them." A bodyguard next to him rolled his eyes and seemed to have come up with a crooked idea to curry favor with Zhang Dong. Zhang Dong immediately said, "What idea? Tell me quickly." Since ancient times, there has been a story that has never changed, and that is the hero rescuing the beauty. The bodyguard said treacherously, "We can find a group of hooligans and ambush Xia Ping outside the hotel. They will beat Xia Ping half to death and put Miss Chu Rong in great danger. At that time, young master, you can shine and save Miss Chu Rong from danger. In this way, not only can you show off your strength, but you can also make Miss Chu Rong feel grateful. She might even fall in love with you and have feelings for you." He came up with a crooked idea. Not bad, not a bad idea, but these hooligans must be stronger. Otherwise, they will be beaten by Chu Rong before they can get close. That will be a bit embarrassing. Zhang Dong immediately thought of some flaws in this plan. "That's easy. Let the butler do it himself and pretend to be a hooligan. Isn't that enough? According to the butler's strength, wouldn't it be a piece of cake to deal with a martial master?" The bodyguard said. "Yes, that's a good idea." Zhang Dong was overjoyed. He turned to the old servant next to him and asked, "Elder Su, what do you think?" The old servant nodded. "If young master wants to do this, I will not refuse. However, I feel that the young man's aura is not simple. He is not someone to be trifled with." He instinctively sensed that Xiaping's body was emitting a fearsome aura from time to time, but he couldn't find out what it was exactly. He wanted to probe deeper, but he couldn't find anything. Based on his many years of martial arts experience, he felt that the young man was a bit unusual. "Humph, what's so special about him? He's just a college student, a country bumpkin from Yanhuang Star. I can beat such a person down in minutes," Zhang Dong said disdainfully, looking down on Xiaping. "In any case, this matter is decided. When those two leave the Brilliance Hotel, we'll find an opportunity to execute the hero saving the damsel in distress plan." He was immensely proud of himself, as if he could already see Chu Rong's expression. Clang! Clang! At this moment, the entire island was filled with the crisp sound of a bell. The sound was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. What's that sound? Zhang Dong was very unhappy because this sound had interrupted his fantasy. Elder Su's face fell. "Oh no, that's the alarm. It's only when the island is being invaded by sea demons, and the island is in danger of being destroyed. It's a warning to the residents of the island to hide and not go out." What? Many bodyguards turned pale. Sea monsters invading? This was no different from a demon attacking a city. Ever since the humans and the sea monsters reached an agreement, sea monsters rarely attacked an island. However, when it did happen, blood would flow like a river, and many people would die. They had been out in the world for a long time, so they naturally knew how terrifying it was for sea monsters to attack an island. It was like a war between humans and sea monsters. Sea monsters invading? What's going on? Why did they suddenly attack this island? No matter how stupid Zhang Dong was, he knew that the situation was extremely serious. If the sea monsters broke through the island's defense, they would all die. The sea was vast, and it was impossible to escape. Leaving the island would only lead to death. "I'm not sure. Let's go out and take a look," Elder Su said immediately. He wanted to figure out what was going on. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. It was not only Elder Su and the others who had such thoughts. Every Grandmaster cultivator on the island came out from various places and came to the shore of the island, wanting to know what was going on. Xiaping and Chu Rong were among them. They originally wanted to go back to their rooms to have a good rest, but when they heard the alarm, they ran out immediately. Outside the island, a vast army of sea demons suddenly appeared. They were densely packed, and there were more than hundreds of thousands of them. In an instant, they surrounded the island so tightly that not even a drop of water could escape. Many warships of the Raven Spirit Island also appeared outside the island, confronting the group of sea monsters. In front of the group of sea monsters stood a terrifying monster with a long sword on its back. Its body emitted an overwhelming sense of existence, as if it was the only existence in the world. Swordfish King. Many grandmasters of the Raven Spirit Island immediately saw the monster, and all of them were shocked. What's going on? Why is the Swordfish King here? Damn it! Is the Swordfish King here to attack our Raven Spirit Island? It's over, it's over. Even the king is going to attack. How can these fleets stop it? The group of human martial masters had ugly expressions on their faces. If the Swordfish King wasn't here, they wouldn't have to worry about the sea demon army. They could have easily repelled them. If they were lucky, they could even annihilate them in one fell swoop. However, the Swordfish King was here, and it was a completely different story. The Swordfish King alone could annihilate the entire Navy fleet. There was no way they could stop it. It's over. The Swordfish King is here, and the Demon King is here. It seems that this matter will not end peacefully. Su Lao's face changed, and he immediately realized the seriousness of the matter. What should we do now? Can we escape? Zhang Dong's face changed. He was scared half to death, and his legs were trembling. He was a direct descendant of the Zhang family, and he had a bright future. He could not die silently on the Raven Spirit Island. There's no other way. We are surrounded by sea monsters. If we dare to go out, we will immediately become the target of the sea monsters, and we will die even faster. We have to wait and see. Fortunately, the Lord of the Raven Spirit Island is also a king, and he might have a way to stop the Swordfish King. Su Lao gritted his teeth. Although he was a grandmaster, he was still powerless against a king. Boom! At this moment, a terrifying aura spread out from the depths of the Raven Spirit Island, and the area within a few hundred kilometers was trembling. Immediately, a figure soared into the sky and stood in the air. He arrived in front of the human army and confronted the Swordfish King. It was an old man in a gray robe. He was the lord of the Raven Spirit Island, Wu Baibian, a purple mansion realm cultivator. Chapter 1038. Wu Baibian. The Swordfish King said coldly, I'm only here for one thing, and that is to apprehend the human murderer who killed my son Saber 9. He's now on the run to Raven Spirit Island. Hand over the murderer immediately, or I'll slaughter Raven Spirit Island and leave no one alive. Its voice was like waves, each wave higher than the one before. It covered the entire Raven Spirit Island in an instant, and almost every human on the island could hear it clearly. As for the Grandmaster-level cultivators who were closer, they could hear the rumbling of thunder, as if their heads were about to shatter. They were all horrified. A mere roar was already so terrifying. If the Swordfish King really attacked with all his might, how terrifying would it be? What? Saber 9's dead? And he was killed by humans? Wu Baibian was shocked. He had heard of Saber 9, the famous great pirate of the boundless ocean. It was said that he had committed many evil deeds and killed countless humans. He was regarded as a thorn in the side of humans. There had always been human kings who wanted to kill Saber 9, but they did not because they were wary of the agreement between humans and the ocean tribe. As a result, Saber 9 had wreaked havoc for decades. However, he did not expect that someone would personally kill the great pirate Saber 9 today. It was no wonder that the Swordfish King was so furious that he disregarded the agreement and led his army to the border. Swordfish King, this is only your side of the story. Your son Saber 9 has committed many evil deeds. Not only did he offend humans, but he also offended many other ocean tribes. Wu Baibian immediately felt that he could not admit to this. He said, if your son was killed by other tribes and you're pushing the blame onto us humans, we won't take the blame. He did not admit that this had happened at all, and he even pushed the blame onto other tribes. Shut up. The Swordfish King was furious when he heard that. You humans still dare to quibble when there are witnesses and material evidence. However, since you want to see the evidence, I'll show you. This is the portrait of the human murderer who killed my son, as well as the portrait of the bitch next to him. With a whoosh, He took out a piece of white paper that was 5 meters long and 5 meters wide. Xiaoping's and Chu Rong's portraits were drawn on it. They were extremely realistic, as if they had been taken by a camera. These fishermen scouts were not only experts at tracking, but also experts at drawing. They were able to accurately depict what they saw. Only then could they become excellent scouts. At this moment, on the distant coast, countless human grandmasters also saw this scene. Even though they were far away, with their eyesight, they could clearly see the portrait on the portrait. Some martial artists whose eyesight was not as good as a grandmaster also used binoculars to observe the situation in the distance. Zhang Dong was one of the martial artists using binoculars. When he saw the portrait, he could not help but shout, "What? Isn't this Miss Chu Rong and that bastard gigolo?" He immediately recognized Xiaoping and Chu Rong. Elder Su also nodded his head. His eyes shone brightly. He had also recognized it. "Brother Zhang." Suddenly a voice rang out. At the same time, a large hand gently patted Zhang Dong's shoulder. Xiaoping." Zhang Dong immediately turned around and was shocked. He stared in shock at the people behind him. It was Xiaoping and Chu Rong. "Brother Zhang, you guessed correctly. I'm the one who killed the Swordfish King's son Saber 9. I heard that Brother Zhang is the heir of a ruler family. I wonder if you can solve this problem and cover for me?" Xiaoping blinked and looked at Zhang Dong with an innocent expression. "Cover for you, my foot." Zhang Dong was so angry that he almost cursed out loud. "You bastard. You've done such a terrible thing, and even provoked the Swordfish King to come after you. You still want the Zhang family to cover for you? You must be dreaming." The Swordfish King was a demon king who had roamed the seas for countless years. Even the Zhang family's elder ancestor had to be polite to the Swordfish King, not daring to offend him. If the Zhang family's elder ancestor found out that he had offended the Swordfish King and was the scapegoat for someone else, many elders in the Zhang family would want to strangle him on the spot. They would want to kick him back into his mother's womb. "Brother Zhang, do you think it's inappropriate that the money isn't in place? If you can solve this problem, any amount of money won't be an issue. I don't have anything else, I just have a lot of money." Xiaoping put on a look of wealth and patted his chest. "A lot my ass." Zhang Dong wanted to slap this shameless nouveau riche. How could the Swordfish King's wrath be solved with money? "I'm afraid that your entire fortune won't even be a fraction of the Swordfish King's. How dare you say that you want to solve the problem with money? What do you think a ruler is? You really are a country bumpkin from planet Yanhuang, who has never seen the world. You don't even know how terrifying the word ruler is. It represents supremacy. Brother Xia, please forgive me for being powerless. I really can't cover for you." Zhang Dong was extremely aggrieved. His face was flushed. Even though it was a little embarrassing to say these things in front of the girl he liked, he had to say it. After all, this was too big of a scapegoat. If he really carried it, he would probably collapse. "Can't cover for you? Didn't you say that you're a direct descendant of the Zhang family? Why can't you cover for me? Call the Zhang family's ancestor out. This dead fish will be taken care of in minutes," Xiaoping shouted. "Country bumpkin. That's the Swordfish King, not a dead fish. You're still running your mouth even at death's door." Zhang Dong panicked. He wanted nothing more than to stuff this bastard's mouth. If the Swordfish King heard this, he would probably be even angrier. How could they criticize a ruler? If the Swordfish King was enraged, it wouldn't matter if this bastard died, but he would be implicated. Moreover, even if the Zhang family's ancestor came out, he probably wouldn't be able to deal with the Swordfish King. After all, they were both kings of the same level, and the difference in strength wasn't that big. In fact, the Swordfish King might even be stronger with the physique of the sea race. "My ancestor is too far away from here. Distant water can't put out a nearby fire," Zhang Dong said sullenly. He reluctantly found an excuse and pushed it over. "That's true." Xiaoping nodded. "Looks like we'll have to solve this problem ourselves. It's better to rely on ourselves than on others." He was very emotional and glanced sideways. "Damn it, beg your ass." Zhang Dong bared his teeth, and the corner of his mouth twitched a few times. He was furious. "You're the one who caused this, and you're still acting all high and mighty? How shameless are you? He could immediately hear the sarcasm in this kid's words. He was clearly saying that the Zhang family wasn't strong enough. If they couldn't even cover up for this kind of thing, it seemed like the Zhang family wasn't all that great. In truth, if it wasn't for the fact that the Swordfish King was right in front of him, and that he was afraid that his reckless actions would be discovered by the Swordfish King and lead to a disaster, he would have rushed up and beat this kid up. Chapter 1039. At that moment, Xiaoping and Zhang Dong's chat was put aside. At that moment, Wu Baibian casually looked at the piece of white paper and said, "You can always find a way to pin a crime on someone. Who knows if you guys found a portrait of a random person and came here to cause trouble for us humans. I advise you to leave as soon as possible. I have already reported this to the Human Alliance government. Invincible kings will arrive soon. By then, it will be too late even if you want to escape." He did not admit to this at all, believing that the Swordfish King had forged the evidence. Despicable humans. The Swordfish King was furious. "I knew that humans are shameless creatures, but I never thought that you would still act shamelessly when there is evidence. Do you have a death wish? Even if invincible kings wanted to come here, it would take them half a day. During this time, I will slaughter everyone on Spirit Crow Island, leaving no one alive." Boom! In an instant, the Swordfish King could not take it anymore. He immediately attacked, slashing out with the red sword on his back. A red, demonic sword aura came from the sky. It was as if there were countless ghosts wailing in the air, causing the souls of the humans nearby to tremble. It seemed as if they were about to go crazy. What? Wu Baibian did not expect the Swordfish King to actually dare to attack. His body flashed as he used his ultimate technique, the 100 transformations of the dragonfish. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless silhouettes of Wu Baibian suddenly appeared in the air. They were like a swimming fish, constantly swimming in the air, displaying exquisite body techniques to dodge the attack of the sword aura. Boom! The sword chi landed on a small island below, instantly raising it to the ground. The entire rock was reduced to dust, and boundless waves that were more than 10 meters tall were raised. Many human master stage masters were shocked. If that sword aura had hit them, dozens of master stage masters would have been killed or injured. They would not have been able to withstand it at all. The Swordfish King roared and waved the red demon sword in his hand. "You're just imitating the movement techniques of the merfolk. How dare you embarrass yourself in front of me? Die!" It was the ultimate technique, the bloodthirsty soul-devouring sword technique. Suddenly, dense red sword aura appeared all around him. The red sword aura turned into skeletons, baring their fangs and pouncing on Wu Baibian. These sword chi enveloped an area of tens of miles, making it almost impossible for Wu Baibian to dodge. With a squelch, a red sword chi instantly tore through Wu Baibian's skin, leaving a trail of blood. It was just a tiny trace of blood, but it made Wu Baibian scream. "What is this?" Wu Baibian was shocked. This was clearly just a slight injury, a trace of blood. According to the physique of a king, it should have quickly recovered. But now, there were such bloody scars on his body, and he couldn't recover at all. It seemed that there was demonic energy blocking his body's healing ability, and it was constantly devouring the essence of his flesh and blood. Haha, foolish humans! This king possesses a prized artifact, the Blood Demon Sword. Once struck by this sword, you will immediately be cursed and the wound will never heal. Only when the demon sword completely devours your soul will it stop. The Swordfish King's expression was ferocious. "You want to fight this king? You're crazy. You have no idea how strong an enemy you're fighting." It was like a crazed devil, unforgiving after gaining the upper hand. It continued to brandish the devil's sword in its hand, and streaks of red sword chi interweaved to form a large net that enveloped Wu Baibian. Even though Wu Baibian used the 100 transformations of the fish dragon and his fist arts, he still couldn't block it. Over 100 wounds appeared on his body, and large amounts of blood flowed out, turning him into a man of blood. What terrified him the most was that his life force was continuously flowing away. His power was growing weaker and weaker, while the Swordfish King was growing stronger and stronger. As time passed, he He would soon be finished off by the Swordfish King. I didn't think I'd be able to kill a human king today. If I eat you, this king will quickly ascend to the fulfillment realm. At that time, I will definitely be able to roam the endless sea. The Swordfish King laughed savagely, and his attacks became even more vicious. Bang bang bang. The two kings clashed in midair, creating a series of loud explosions. It was as if a nuclear bomb had gone off, and the sea within dozens of kilometers trembled. The human soldiers and fishman soldiers all retreated over 100 kilometers, not daring to approach the battle between kings. If they were caught in the shockwaves, they would die without a doubt. After hundreds and thousands of collisions, the Swordfish King found a flaw in Wu Baibian's defense. With a stab, Wu Baibian was sent flying off Crow Spirit Island. Rumble! Wu Baibian immediately let out a shrill scream. He was like a meteorite, smashing into the island. In an instant, everything within a dozen kilometers was razed to the ground. The shockwave condensed into substance and spread out in all directions. Many tall buildings, shops, and residences were razed to the ground, instantly turning into dust. Fortunately, this place had long since become an uninhabited area. The residents had long since been evacuated to air raid shelters. Otherwise, there would have been heavy casualties. However, Wu Baibian was extremely miserable at this moment. His body was covered in dense wounds, and large amounts of blood flowed out. He was like a man made of blood, and his breathing was weak. He no longer had the strength to fight. It's over. It's all over now. Even the island master is no match for the Swordfish King. Who else can stop this demon king? Where's the federal government? Immediately notify the federal government and ask them to send invincible kings over. This won't do. We're too far away from Flaming Yellow Island. Even if an invincible king wants to come, it will take a certain amount of time. After all, things happen too quickly. I'm afraid the invincible kings don't even know about this. What do we do now? Are we all going to die here? Seeing that Wu Baibian, the king, was no match for the Swordfish King at all, many humans were in despair. Without Wu Baibian blocking the Swordfish King alone could probably slaughter them all. Even if they wanted to escape, it was unrealistic. The sea was vast. Once they entered the sea, it would be the fishman's territory, and they would die even faster. It could be said that apart from fighting to the end, there was no other way. Haha, I am indeed an invincible being. After beating Wu Baibian half to death with one sword strike, the Swordfish King was extremely pleased with himself. He waved his hand and said, "Convey this king's order. Immediately attack the Crow Spirit Island. Burn, kill, pillage, and spare no one." It didn't care about the so-called murderer at all. First, it would slaughter all the humans on this island. If it couldn't find this island, then it would go to the next human island until it found the human murderer. Chapter 1040. Is this kid out of his mind? How dare he go out alone? Do you want to die? Zhang Dong immediately recognized that the person who spoke was Xia Ping. He was stupefied. That was the Swordfish King, a demon king. Did he not see it? Even the king-level lord of Raven Spirit Island, Wu Baibian, was in such a miserable state. He was beaten half to death, lying on the ground, unable to move. It was impossible for anyone else to fight against the Swordfish King. They would only be sending themselves to their deaths. Does he want to sacrifice his life in exchange for the safety of the entire island? Zhang Dong thought about it, and felt that the kid had found his conscience. He wanted to use his life to appease the Swordfish King's anger. If that was the case, the kid had a conscience. That's impossible. Su Lao shook his head. It's meaningless even if he goes out to die. It's not a problem that can be solved with his death alone. The Swordfish King is making such a big fuss. He won't just kill one person to end this. He won't stop until he slaughters all the humans on the island to scare the monkeys. He had many years of life experience. He could tell at a glance that the Swordfish King was not only trying to avenge his son, but also trying to establish his dominance in front of the humans. Even if Xia Ping was killed, it would not stop the Swordfish King from slaughtering the island. How could this be? Zhang Dong's face was pale, and his legs were trembling. He cursed Xia Ping in his heart. Of all places to hide, the bastard chose to hide on Raven Spirit Island. Now he had harmed others and himself. Many people would have to pay with their lives. If God had given him another chance, he would never have come to Raven Spirit Island again. However, it was too late now. At that moment, many of the human masters on the island noticed Xiaoping's appearance, and an uproar broke out. Who is this kid? How dare he face the Swordfish King? He's too bold. Didn't you see? This kid is the one who killed the Swordfish King's son Saber 9. What? He's the one who provoked the Swordfish King? Oh my god, he's really on the island. It's over. He's just sending himself to the Swordfish King. Many of the human masters thought that this kid was done for. If he dared to face the Swordfish King alone, he would be torn to pieces in an instant, leaving nothing behind. Xiaoping. Chu Rong was also shocked. She didn't think that Xiaoping would dare to go out at this time. She was worried that the Swordfish King would kill him in a single move. But thinking of Xiaoping's strength before, he destroyed the famous Red Skull pirates in a few breaths. That kind of godlike strength might be able to compete with the Swordfish King. She felt much more at ease when she thought of this. Actually, if she thought about it carefully, this scoundrel was a coward. He wouldn't have dared to face the Swordfish King directly if he didn't have enough confidence. Human. The Swordfish King was also taken aback. It didn't expect that there would still be a human who dared to stand out after seeing it display its might and cripple the human king, Wu Baibian. However, when it saw the human's face clearly, rage surged within it. So it's you. Are you the one who killed my son Saber 9? Xiaoping's appearance was clearly the same as the human in the portrait. That's right, my king. It's this human who killed our captain. A Murloc scout shouted from behind. Behind him, a Fishman scout cried out loudly. Now that he had the Swordfish King to back him up, he was extremely bold and immediately came out to testify. Xiaoping stepped on the air and stood with his hands behind his back. That's right. If it's that sharp-headed Murloc, then I'm the one who killed it. I chopped off its head with a swing of my sword, and it didn't feel any pain. Later, I was worried that it would be lonely on its journey, so I sent its subordinates to hell with it. Now it seems like it wants to ask its father to go down with it. What a coincidence. He looked at the Swordfish King calmly. How dare you? The Swordfish King was so angry that its chest was about to explode. Not only did this bastard human want to kill it, but he even wanted to kill it as well. How dare he? Who did he think he was? Damned human, how dare you kill my son? How dare you? How dare you kill me, the Swordfish King's son? I won't kill you easily today. I'll capture you and torture you for 3 days and 3 nights before I let you die. It glared at Xiaoping with a murderous look in its eyes. Thud. Xiaoping suddenly attacked as soon as it finished speaking. In a flash, he arrived before the Swordfish King and kicked the Swordfish King's chest. The kick was like a primordial wild elephant raising its trunk. It contained tremendous force and had the power to destroy mountains and rivers. And it exploded on the Swordfish King's chest. The air exploded, and hundreds and thousands of tremors reverberated. In the next second, the Swordfish King was caught off guard and took the kick head-on. It was sent flying like a cannonball, eventually crashing on a deserted island several miles away. Rumble, immediately, the deserted island collapsed, and the Swordfish King's body caved in as well. There seemed to be dozens of huge cracks on the island, and it was about to shatter the island into a dozen pieces. The surrounding sea was turbulent. With the deserted island as the center, it was affected by the shock waves, causing waves of 20 to 30 meters tall to hit the shore. King, many monsters' eyes popped out, and they couldn't help but yell. They were all stunned. They didn't expect that the human would dare to make the first move and kick their king. The speed was just too fast. Even if they wanted to help, they wouldn't be able to. That's too brutal. On the island, the human masters were also stunned. They could all feel the power of the kick, and it was definitely not something a master could withstand. They thought that if they were to withstand the kick, they would be torn into pieces in an instant, and their bodies would explode in mid-air. It was not something a master could perform. It can't be. Is this young man a king? Many human masters couldn't help but think the same. After all, even if a king was careless, they wouldn't be ambushed by a master. The moment a master made a move, the king would sense it, and their bodies would react. But now, the Swordfish King couldn't even react. It was not hard to imagine the power of Xiaoping's kick. Human! With a dong sound, the small desolate island immediately split apart into several pieces, forming huge islands and reefs. Smoke and dust rose in all directions, filling a circumference of several kilometers. And from the smoke and dust a figure flew out. It was obviously the Swordfish King. At this moment, the Swordfish King was very miserable. The skin all over his body was cracked, and there were many wounds on his body. Large amounts of blood flowed out, and even his lungs were injured. Chapter 1041. He's not dead. As expected of the Swordfish King, an expert of the sea demon race. His skin is really thick. I wonder how many times he can take a beating. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and praised. Hearing such praise, the Swordfish King was furious. As a demon king, he was praised by the enemy for having thick skin. This was not a compliment but a mockery. He was mocking him for being a punching bag that could only take a beating. How could the arrogant Swordfish King, who looked down on all humans, endure such mockery? I've changed my mind. I want you dead right now. The Swordfish King shouted angrily. His voice reverberated like a war drum, spreading for dozens of kilometers. The fish in the sea could not withstand such a sound wave. Hundreds of thousands of them were killed, their white bellies open, floating in the sea. Bloodthirsty soul-devouring sword. It gripped the blood demon sword in its hand tightly, and attacked Xiaoping. Suddenly, hundreds of blood-colored sword chi appeared in the air, and the shadows of many demons could be vaguely seen. This kind of evil blood chi alone was enough to make countless creatures with weak wills go crazy. Their souls would probably be crushed by the evil blood chi before the sword chi could reach them. Even creatures with strong wills would be stunned for a moment when facing the attack of the evil blood chi. The Swordfish King could take advantage of this opening to kill the enemy. This was the terror of the blood demon sword. Oh no! That's how the Lord of Raven Spirit Island was killed. It's over. I don't know if this young man can block it or not. Many of the human grandmasters felt their hearts tighten. They already knew how terrifying this blood demon sword was. The famous island Lord of Raven Spirit Island, a dignified king realm cultivator, was defeated by this blood demon sword without being able to fight back. Not bad. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He sensed the surroundings with his mind power, and immediately sensed the sword chi coming for him. It was indeed a supreme sword chi that could kill kings of the same level. It was indeed extraordinary. The terrifying baleful aura coming at him caused him to have many illusions. It was as if there were countless demons pouncing at him, howling crazily and wanting to tear his soul apart. It was as if he was in purgatory. If it was against an ordinary king, it might be of some use. However, Xiaoping's soul power was countless times stronger than an ordinary king's. It was like a giant pillar, so how could this baleful aura even shake it? Sun God Fist. In the blink of an eye, he took a step forward in midair and threw out a punch. At this moment, countless acupoints and meridians in Xiaoping's body were trembling. All of his astral energy was gathered together and transmitted out inch by inch until it reached his fist. Rumble in that instant, his fist blasted out a ball of scorching flames. It was as if a sun had descended, and the temperature within a radius of several dozen kilometers rose rapidly. The surrounding sea was evaporated by the terrifying flames, emitting a large amount of white steam. Smoke lingered in the air, as if one was in the middle of a volcano with boiling magma. Even the humans far away on the Raven Spirit Island could feel the scorching flames. Their skin was scalded, and they were about to scream. Some of their clothes were even set on fire. They couldn't help but retreat a few kilometers. Only then did they feel a little better. Whoosh! When the fist blasted out, the blood-colored sword aura coming from afar suddenly melted like snow. Those demons seemed to be roasted by the scorching yang qi, and they were quickly turned into ashes. All of a sudden they collapsed in this world. How is this possible? The sword aura of my blood demon sword was extinguished with one punch? The Swordfish King was dumbfounded. Its invincible blood-colored sword aura, had contributed immensely to the battle up until now. Even a king of the same level would not be able to withstand it, let alone a master. But now, this human had destroyed its sword aura with one punch, making it disappear into the void. It could not accept this. Go to hell. Xiaoping did not want to answer the Swordfish King at all. He threw another punch. Waves of heat rolled out, as if dozens of volcanoes were erupting at the same time. A large amount of solidified magma spewed out, blasting towards the Swordfish King. This punch locked onto all of the Swordfish King's aura, covering an entire area. Even a single drop of flame could burn the ground. This was the flame of the essence of the sun, extremely young and unyielding, capable of burning all impurities. To a demonic sword like the Blood Demon Sword, it was the greatest nemesis. Oh no! The Swordfish King yelled. It circulated its magical power, and the Blood Demon Sword flashed with blood-colored light. A huge blood-colored sword aura immediately burst out, trying to block the punch. But it was useless. Dong! The two forces collided, and the blood-colored sword aura immediately disintegrated. It was surrounded by a huge golden flame, and the demonic aura within was completely burned away. The flame even surrounded the Swordfish King, covering its entire body. The terrifying fist force seeped in inch by inch, directly injuring the Swordfish King's organs. Immediately, the Swordfish King was like a rubber ball, rolling in the air. Finally, it flew across the sea for a few kilometers, and finally smashed into a deserted island nearby. With a few cracking sounds, the entire deserted island was shattered and spider web-like cracks appeared. At the same time, the Swordfish King's body was engulfed in flames, burning crazily. Too strong. In the distance, the humans on the island were all stunned. Through the surveillance drones, they sent back all kinds of battle recordings, and they were all shocked by the power of this punch. Previously, when the Lord of Raven Spirit Island fought with the Swordfish King, he was beaten miserably by the Swordfish King's Blood Demon Sword, and almost had no power to fight back. This was enough to prove the Swordfish King's strength. But now, the Swordfish King used the same method, but was seriously injured, and could not even take 2 punches from Xiaoping. At this moment, the Lord of Raven Spirit Island, Wu Baibian, also struggled to get up, and barely recovered a bit of strength. Watching the battle, he was also shocked. When did such a terrifying young king appear in the heavenly realm? He actually beat the famous Swordfish King into such a state, and he could not even fight back. Young master, are we still going to carry out the hero saving the damsel in distress plan? The bodyguard beside Zhang Dong was so shocked that his eyeballs almost popped out. His mouth was wide open, and he could not close it for a long time. Save your ass. Zhang Dong wanted to slap the bodyguard's face. His face was green, and his whole body was trembling. What kind of stupid idea was this? Fortunately, they did not have time to carry out the hero saving the damsel in distress plan. Otherwise, based on this kid's strength, those bandits would have been smashed into ashes before they could even get close. If that demon knew that he was the one who did this, even his ancestor would not be able to save him. Chapter 1042. I remember now. He is Xiaoping. It's Xiaoping. A human grandmaster suddenly shouted. Looking at Xiaoping's face, he suddenly remembered something. After his reminder, the other humans seemed to have turned on their memories. Memories flooded out like a tide. Indeed, I also remember now. He is Xiaoping, the recent champion of the genius contest. My God, I have heard of many amazing things he has done before. I didn't expect to see him here. He kidnapped the demon saint and saintess, extorted money from the Thousand Monster Mountain, became a thorn in the side of the Thousand Monster Mountain, and was once chased by the Demon King. I heard that he recently robbed the Shark Demon King and emptied his house. I heard that he has become a grandmaster at the age of 19. Bullshit. He is not just a grandmaster. He is already a challenger. Even the Swordfish King was chased by him. What else can he be if not a challenger? My God, he has become a challenger at the age of 19. Have you heard of such a thing? I have never heard of it. This is the first time. I guess he is the youngest challenger in human history. Many human grandmasters were shocked. They recalled the things that Xia Ping had done in the past. Each of them was earth-shattering enough to shake the entire cloud realm. They also remembered that this kid had offended countless demon kings and was even chased by them. However, he was still alive and kicking. God knew how many demon kings were furious and even hated him to the bone. But now, he had become a challenger and was suppressing the Swordfish King. No wonder I felt that this kid was familiar. So this kid is the famous Xia Ping. Zhang Dong also recalled that he had heard Xia Ping's name countless times from his ancestors. His family elders had even used Xia Ping's deeds to educate him, telling him to follow his example. When he heard that, he wanted nothing more than to give that detestable Xia Ping a good beating. But now they had actually met. This legend had appeared in front of him. No wonder he is so powerful. Zhang Dong regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Previously, because Xia Ping came from planet Yanhuang, he looked down on this kid and thought that he was a country bumpkin. But in the blink of an eye, he realized that he was no longer worthy of Xia Ping. No matter what, Xia Ping now had the combat power of a challenger. His status was not inferior to the Zhang family's old ancestor. If he was willing, he could immediately create a king clan. It could be said that he alone was a clan. There were too many good-for-nothings like him, descendants of sovereign clans in the Cloud Realm. How could they compare to such a peerless genius? Previously, he was still acting tough, thinking that the country boy couldn't compare to him. Now that he thought about it carefully, this idea was simply ridiculous. With his current achievements, he probably couldn't even compare to Xia Ping's toes. This was because the difference between the King Realm and those below the Master Realm was simply too great. It was like the difference between clouds and mud. Fortunately, I didn't do it. Elder Su was also very glad. If they had really made a move back then, not only would they have been beaten half to death, but they would also have completely offended such a peerless monster. The Zhang clan's old ancestor would probably want to slap them to death. After all, he was only 19 years old, and he already had the battle power of a king. So, in the future, he would definitely become an invincible king. No one would doubt this. Damn it! At this moment, the Swordfish King struggled up from the rubble and glared at Xia Ping in the sky. It gripped the blood demon sword tightly. Even though a large amount of blood was pouring out of its body, it didn't lessen the fiendish aura it exuded. Whoosh! Xia Ping didn't waste any time talking to the Swordfish King. He used the Kuan-Peng steps and threw a punch at the Swordfish King. Dozens of fist prints appeared in the air, solidifying. The Swordfish King used all of its skills and kept waving the Blood Demon sword in its hand, triggering waves of Blood Demon sword chi in an attempt to break down Xia Ping's attack. However, it was to no avail. These fist prints contained the essence of the sun. Any extremely cold energy would be completely burned away like ice and snow, quickly melting in the world. With a boom, the Blood Devil sword chi instantly disappeared, burned to ashes without leaving anything behind. The Swordfish King's body was also hit by dozens of punches. The powerful fist power bombarded its body, shattering dozens of bones in its body and making cracking sounds. If it wasn't for the strong body of the Swordfish clan, but a human, it would have been beaten into a pile of meat by now. At this moment, it finally woke up from its madness, realizing that it was definitely not a match for this young human. Continuing to fight would only lead to death. Stop, stop, stop. Just when Xia Ping was about to make another move, the Swordfish King shouted. Do you need something? Xia Ping stopped and looked down at the Swordfish King. The Swordfish King said, Brother Xia, I was wrong this time. I had eyes but failed to see and offended you. I hope you can be merciful and stop for now. It humbled itself, hoping that Xia Ping would stop attacking. Stop for now. Xia Ping laughed when he heard this. You're not going to avenge the death of your son. No, no, no. To be honest, I've thought about it carefully. My son brought this upon himself. He committed all sorts of evil and killed countless humans. You killing him is doing the people a favor. The Swordfish King shouted, expressing that it didn't want revenge. For a moment, the humans on the island were stunned. They didn't expect the Swordfish King to say something like this. Not only did it beg for mercy from Xiaoping, but it also wanted to give up on revenge. It said that Xiaoping killed its son to get rid of a scourge for the people, and that it was the right thing to do. Its ability to change expressions was comparable to a chameleon. Many human masters didn't expect a demon king to be so humble, just to beg for mercy from a human. They hadn't even heard of such a thing, let alone seen it. Are you begging for mercy? You want me to spare your life? Xiaoping raised an eyebrow. The Swordfish King waved its hand. No, no, no. This is not begging for mercy. This is peaceful coexistence. There's no need for such a meaningless battle. If this continues, I might be heavily injured. But the humans on this Raven Spirit Island are unlucky. More than half of them might die. Why must both sides suffer? There was a hint of threat in its tone. Even if it was heavily injured, it might drag the humans on the Raven Spirit Island down with it. Even if it didn't have the ability to threaten Xiaoping, it still had the strength to kill more than half of the humans on the Raven Spirit Island. Threatening me? When the Myriad Demon Mountain and the Shark Demon King threatened me, I never bowed my head. Do you think a puny Swordfish King like you can threaten me, Xiaoping? Xiaoping's eyes flashed with a cold light. You want me to spare your life? What a joke. Those innocent humans who were slaughtered, the old, the weak, the women, and the children who died in vain in the endless sea. Did you spare them? They begged, kneeled on the ground, begged for mercy and cried. Did you have the slightest bit of compassion? Let me tell you the truth. Today, not only will you die, but all the sea demons who dare to invade the Raven Spirit Island will die. No one can escape. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.